what's the best way to start this cold open, right? It's like,
Hey,
Everybody was quiet because of the red light.
that's a big old jug. Okay.
I'm gonna keep it pumping and stumping this out, please.
Feel me, say.
Your
That's
goddaughter
cool.
said no, he ain't back. Still our truth, even when she saw the haircut. Like she watched it live, it's like she won't accept it.
She said she watched it live and she won't accept it.
Even when she saw the haircut. Sorry, baby girl.
No.
You messed up.
Same with Naomi.
She's in denial. Oh, when it was he was bad. She was bad.
Yeah, now she saw her with the briefcase. She was happy, but she's like, no, she's still glowing.
No, stop it.
She kept her shoes. She kept the shoes.
I said she's not glowing no more.
Did you guys see the little video, the little social media content thing that she did?
With the briefcase.
Smooth, man. See, I'm digging the content creation.
Best
like
women's Money in the Bank winner. How many times have we ever seen the briefcase open?
Twice?
I don't know. Have we?
Not like that. Not with like a whole bunch of stuff in it.
That is true. That thing was definitely full to the brim.
She had the action figure of Jimmy.
You know I
in
picked
the
that
little
one.
slide. Yeah.
This is absolute genius.
Little Jimmy.
It's all
Hey,
good.
hey man.
No,
You know what
Big
else?
Jim.
He
Big
said,
It would
Jim.
be genius though
what's that?
if she cash in and fail.
Oh, she
What?
would go insane.
But the contract is not in the briefcase.
No, now you're getting technical.
Yeah, they
No,
don't
see,
much.
because that's the thing. Everybody, the contract is supposed to be in the briefcase every
True.
time you cash in. She didn't already reveal that she, plays inside the briefcase. She cashed in and failed, and there's no contract in there. She said, "Ha, I got you."
Oh, that's possible. What? Well, who knows?
They got to shake it up.
And she pulls it out the back pocket. Like, look, here it is, right here.
She,
Or-
I had it folded up.
she have
What if
another
she-
briefcase.
What if she cheats? What if she signs the contract and hand like signs the contract for like a date down the line, and then she cashes it in like randomly on a Raw, and then if she loses, she's gonna say, "Yeah, check this out. Just try to bait the champion in. Like, okay, the champion's gonna assume she's gonna put the belt on the line, only for her to find out, no, the contract was never in the briefcase. I signed it for like SummerSlam or something crazy like that."
Yeah.
Eh?
Now that does
cool.
make
I like it.
get some technicalities because now that's another layer when they cash in, they got to open it up and see. But I mean, after a while, the Money in the Bank. I mean, it's always going to be exciting because of the impulse of it all. But sometimes you got to shake it up, and she got to maintain the women's streak.
I think it'll be
But,
too much for the referees
that's
because they're stupid as hell when it comes to cashing in.
That's why they got
You want me
the
cashing in? Are you sure? You sure? Okay.
What you want to do with
One more
this
time. You
briefcase?
sure?
You brought it to the ring. The
You got
briefcase
you.
knocked
You
out.
gonna do it?
Okay, huh? Okay, I'm going to take this over to the announcer and let him know. So
Then I'm gonna ask you one more time. You're
Okay.
sure?
All
Okay.
right. Jesus, cash in our Money in the Bank briefcase right now. You can ring the bell. Ring announcer. Make the announcement, please. It's the longest drawn out thing.
There you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, you have gotten an official peek of what happens in the green room of the Wrestling Realm Now podcast. Before we start our show, we gave you a free 3 minutes of the type of conversations that go on before the show, but I didn't say it before, but I'm saying it now. The red light has been officially on. And yes, we are back for another edition of the Wrestling Realm Now podcast. Now, we are fresh off of Money in the Bank in Los Angeles, California. Worlds collide. We have a new World Heavyweight Champion, and the fans' voices were heard because we are going to close the show with the main event. R-Truth has returned, or is it? Ron the Truth Killings. Was this planned? Was this a work? Some people say it was. Some people say it wasn't. Now, is this really just wrestlers protecting the business, or was this something that the fans actually affected and actually brought change to the industry, as we've done before? But hey, we're going to talk about all that and more, plus Wrestling Around Facts, and we're going to discuss the arrival of season 4 and championship culture, all that and more. So buckle your seatbelts. We are about to have a good time. You know what time it is. It is Wednesday. And we are the Wrestling Realm. So buckle your seatbelts once again because we're taking a double ride. Here we go.
Houston, we have a problem.
What's up? Welcome to the Wrestling Realm Now podcast, where we take a deeper dive into the world of professional wrestling. Now, I am your host, the realness himself, the real Dwayne Allen, in the building, and he is your host, Mr. Super Producer. Brother Hugh has the third A to the A to the S, D to the A to the D, 3 to the D. What's up in the building tonight? And he is your host, not just any guy, but a newly designed belt room guy, Brandon the Guy. What's up? He's in the building tonight, and he is your host. He is the man, the myth, the legend, the creator, the founder of the Wrestling Realm, and just like R-Truth in Mr. Steal Your Goddamn Show in 2025. Hollywood. What's up? Brian H. Waters is in the building. If you can't tell by the intros, I'm trying to ask you all one simple thing. What's up, gentlemen?
Y'all don't hear me.
Realm. Don't you dare. Welcome to the Wrestling Realm Now podcast. We are going to celebrate some things that happened recently, mostly R-Truth being back. All that and more. We are fresh off, gentlemen. Money in the Bank. We have to talk about where this particular show ranked amongst the other, but a lot has happened as usual in the world of professional wrestling, and people are waiting to hear what the brothers have to say about a number of different topics, including, once again, the return of Ron the Truth Killings. We're going to talk about the differences between R-Truth and Ron the Truth Killings, and what version of R-Truth / Ron the Truth Killings will we get? Not to mention the results of Money in the Bank, like I said before, and we have a new world heavyweight champion, and Gunther has defeated Jey Uso. It ended his 51-day reign as we head into King of the Ring. All that and more, but let's start off with some positivity, because for weeks we have been waiting in anticipation of the latest, the greatest, the newest show to the Wrestling Realm platform. It's not so new anymore because we have officially stepped into the realm, pun intended, of season 4 of, you guessed it, Season 4 of Championship Culture. 2 special episodes to debut the beginning of the 4th chapter of the fabled tale of what we know as Championship Cultures, featuring the Belt King himself, Brandon the Guy, and super producer Brother Hugh has the third. Goodness gracious, don't call it a comeback, gentlemen, but we are officially back with more Pro Wrestling Championship content because you all decide to return. June 9th and 10th, we had a 2-part debut. 1 episode on one day, another episode on the next day. Now, I know you brothers can't wait to get into it, but guess what? People can wait just a tad bit longer. It's because you guys made us wait so long to get to this point, and now we are here. I am going to savor the moment because it is the return of one of my favorite segments of I've Got Notes. But I whispered it because it's not quite time to get to it yet, and I can't say it the way the people expect me to say it. But now is the opportunity for you brothers to come on, tell the people you finally got to it. We finally got to season 4, Championship Culture, which is found every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on youtube.com/the Wrestling Realm, by the way. Season 2 and episodes, etc. And now officially episodes 1 and 1.5 of season 4, brothers. Talk to the people for those who may not have seen it yet and want a reason to go and watch season 4 of episode 1 of season 4, I should say, of Championship Culture. Talk to the people. We've waited. We're here. Let the world know what's going on in the world of Championship Culture. I said Championship Culture like 10 times in 2 minutes. That is psychology, and I hope it's embedded. I hope it's embedded into the subconscious of all those who are listening. But brothers, go ahead. Talk to the people. Where are we at?
Mm-hmm. So that was a lot.
Did you just say
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was a lot. So yeah, Championship Culture is back with season 4, and it was a special 2-night premiere, or as Wayne likes to call it, one. You know what happens when I'm left alone? 1 and 1.5. So episode 1, or the part 1, was a tour of how everything is set up for this season. As you can see, it's a different background behind me. But if Eagle Eye viewers was paying attention, it was set up intentionally to kind of give like a feel so we can match on Wednesday night. But then, Tuesday night, you see a different setup. But we wanted to make sure we got everybody to see, because, y'all always swear up and down that I got a new belt, y'all got a new belt, I got a new belt. I don't. I actually downsized. I went from a certain number down to 122.
About 225.
Dang.
Down to 122. So I'm down to 122 belts. But if you thought you heard every belt has a story in the last 3 seasons, you just wait. You're going to hear that a lot. That was 1. And I'm going to let Hugh tell you about part 2 of the 2-night premiere. As he drinks his probably.
That's some good daggone ginger tea right there, boy. Warm
I
you
knew it
up.
was ginger tea. Something told me it was ginger tea. I felt it. The way it hit the esophagus, I said, yo, that's soothing. I know that.
Yes, sir. Yes,
that
sir.
decreases inflammation. I know ginger when I hear it.
He was loving it.
Oh man, part two, episode 1. I guess we can say it is, because the first one was kind of like a bonus, I guess, of intro.
Sure. Yep.
But yeah, we had someone on, a very special guest, the creator, the designer of the infamous TNA titles, Brother Hellfire, Mr. Craig from Hellfire Designs, and he came on and gave us the story behind those belts and other titles that he has coming up down the line. So it was a good time. We had a chance.
You are now experiencing technical difficulties on behalf of the Wrestling Realm.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, we had a chance to talk to Craig and ask him like some of the thought patterns. We learned a little tidbit. We learned some stuff about what's coming down the line. If people don't know, he designed the belts for Maple Leaf, the Maple Leaf promotion where Scott D'Amore is running in Canada. But he gave us some insight, and I'll give you snippets because I want you to go watch the full episode. And it made my heart happy when he said there were supposed to be stones on the belt. But that's all I'm gonna say about that in those set of TNA belts. So he was actually commissioned to design them, but I want you to go back and watch the full episode so you can hear from the source directly. Now, he was in partnership with Zebros, who physically made the belts, but he was the one that designed all of the belts. So Hellfire Designs have done them for JCW, GCW, TNA, and is working on the Maple Leaf promotion. Also, a couple other promotions over in the UK. So, lo and behold, we had the designer of those.
I apologize. The microphone keep acting up today, but I will get it right.
It's technical difficulties every goddamn way, brother. Just you good. Go ahead and rock. But you in the middle of saying something, brother Hugh, talking about this particular show. Brother guy pretty much broke down, just the special guest that you had, man, all the championship belts, the designs that he had his hands on, and just a lot of things that may be coming down the pipeline as far
yes, sir. Basically.
about the time. But so But did you want to add anything else to
He picked up where I left off. So that's
Okay.
basically what I was saying before I had to depart for a second.
No doubt. Listen,
But yeah.
understandably so. I have a question for you though.
What's up?
I'll save it. That's okay. But yeah. So yes, like I said, championship culture came back in full force. I want you to see this thumbnail. Look at that. It's brother guy in his room. Look at that. And for those who didn't notice, like I said, he redesigned his belt room. We finally got a look inside the belt museum. What do you call your belt room? It's gotta have a fancy name to it. Like everybody has their own like name or title for something. Like, do you have a special like name for your belt room? Like the vault or the treasure trove or something of the nature?
I forgot the name we came up with.
Yeah. We still
come
kicking
on.
around some
You got-
names
You're
because
supposed to write that down.
Right? How do you guys forget that? I was waiting for it. It's like, oh, here it comes.
because we were fighting over. He was like, "Well, do you like that one?" I was like, "I don't know." So I'll tell you what, realness.
Yes, sir.
The name will be coming soon. How
So
about
you guys
that?
gonna
We'll say
you
that.
guys gonna powwow and have a conversation about it. You guys cheat.
Because it's because we try to keep certain things in line with what it is. So
Okay.
one of the names was the Belt Cave because comic
You said the
book
belt what?
people cave.
Okay.
Because
That's a
how
good one.
everybody
Yeah, that's all. It's
the
like it's like an
Batcave,
obvious one.
the Arrow
Yeah.
Cave.
There you go.
A nod to comic books, but
There you go. Merging
Hey,
two worlds
yo.
together.
Hey,
Mhm.
yo. Hold up.
Oh,
What's the dude from Maxwell Male Models, the black dude?
oh man,
Mace.
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 He
Whatever.
just hit Jada Parker's move on Mark Briscoe. I don't want to hear Brother Hugh ever complain about that move as he comes back to the stage.
You know what the crazy part is? I know it's not unpopular opinion week, but Mace.
Yeah.
Mansoor and Mace.
Mace and Mansoor. Their tag team works. I think it fits better in AEW.
It
Yeah.
did,
it's
but
all-
they next to your favorite wrestler, John Morrison, or Johnny Nitro, or Johnny Elite, or Johnny AEW.
Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Mundo,
Listen,
Johnny
whatever-
Tuesday, Johnny Thunder,
Johnny Test.
Johnny
He said
Bravo.
Johnny Thunder. Nitro Johnny Thunder. Johnny
but-
Ross.
You said Johnny Ross.
Johnny Velocity.
Oh my gosh, he can't even do this move. He didn't even catch Willow right. Yo, come on. Like she did the Rolling Thunder or
Okay.
whatever, and he didn't even catch her right.
Johnny
Her
Sunday
and
Night
his,
Heat.
him and his wife.
Johnny
Did you
Shot.
say Sunday?
Johnny Shotgun Saturday Night. I can do this all day. Johnny
Oh,
Backlash. Johnny No Mercy. Johnny WrestleMania. Okay.
Johnny
Anyway,
Roadblock.
Thank God for Drew McIntyre, because I would have never lived if Drew didn't bounce back.
no, you definitely you definitely got that one. He trust me, Drew's untouchable. But I've
Yep.
been waiting to say this for so long. Everybody
I
knows
know
that
it.
anytime I cannot be a part of an episode of Championship Culture, I go back and I write some things down, and I come back and I find myself being a part of the show the day after, as we do the rest of the Wrealm Now podcast. So, for the first time in a long time, I'd like to say, as Brother Hugh finds his way back in here, I've
I'm real
got
surprised.
notes. Don't feel bad, Brother
Oh.
Hugh. All
Yippee.
right. We're finally here, brothers. And guess what? I've got notes, Brian H.
Did you
I know it's
separate
been a
them?
while, but I'm
Did
sorry.
you separate them? from 1 and 2?
Well,
Okay.
it's I have notes for both 1 and 2, but they're all in the notes.
Okay.
So sorry, Brian H. is back.
That's
I
how crispy.
apologize. I apologize to anybody that may unsubscribe for that
This
reason. It was
episode
only
of audio
this is
issues.
solely to annoy Brian H. in pure insensitivity because of what he has to deal with on a regular basis. My apologies once again. Slash the realness. That's a disclaimer. I'm being courteous. But yes, good brothers, championship culture is back. And I watched this episode and I said, okay, cool. I have a ton of questions for a lot of different reasons. Let's start with the two-parter. Let's talk about the bonus episode. We finally got a view of the belt name to be inserted here later. I'm referring to the cave, the redesign of the belt room, which the guy houses his treasure trove of championship belts. So we got a tour, and we're talking about new belts, not belts. And of course, the teaser's like, did you guys notice anything new? So I don't know why he tried to sell us on the fact like I didn't get anything new, but then he goes on the video, he goes, but did you see anything new? There was a couple of belts that I don't remember seeing before. I don't remember seeing that CZW championship. It may have been there. But I got a bone to pick with one of your championship belts. So we talked about this before. Before you did the redesign for the championship belt room, the house that championship culture was curated in. I don't like the strap on your NWA World Championship. That belt should be elongated and it should fit all the way across. It shouldn't hug the plates. Now, I have a question for you. One, did you get it designed that way? If so, why so? Or why did you not opt for a belt that is kind of more traditionally elongated around the plates rather than it hug the plates? Because it had something to me that changes the entire look of a championship belt. Like we saw that with the original new version of the Ring of Honor TV title that Tony Khan and AEW had debuted, but then they like redid it again where like the strap wasn't necessarily elongated around the plates, but it hugged the plates. So that's question number one. How did that come about?
Because that was that version I liked how it was cut, because there's so many versions of that because of where the flags were. I wanted that version because that's the one I always gravitate to. I didn't like the thicker strap around it because I felt like this one, to me, it gave it a slicker, more crisp look, and it was closer when it was in TNA, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
No, yeah, it does. Okay. And that's what I figured, but I thought I'd ask because I said these belt stories are important. Because trust me, we're gonna be doing this might be a lot of belt stories coming up today into this episode. Because like I said, there's some breaking news, by the way, since we're here. Of course, AEW debuted a new championship belt. I guess they're merging the Continental Championship and they're merging the AEW. What is it now? Is it international title? Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Okay. It's
And
this
just
new
AEW
championship
Unified.
belt. But
the Unified Championship.
Okay. Does it have a name? Okay.
Mhm.
TBD. What do they call
No,
it?
that's the name. The Unified Championship.
Okay. Well,
That's
let's just skip that.
yeah.
Let's just skip that for now because we're not going to talk bad about AEW. But anyways, moving on. So we got a glimpse of the belt room. Which was an extremely fun way to reintroduce championship culture as celebrating starting episode 1 of season 4. Now we talk about Hellfire Designs. Now it's always amazing when you get the opportunity to talk to other belt creators. So my question to you guys, did you guys learn anything new? It's more questions than anything. Did you guys learn anything new from someone that has kind of made a career and is kind of making his imprint and his mark in the belt creation role? Because you guys spent a number of different shows in season 3 talking about how great TNA's new beautiful championships are. They're probably some of the most beautiful championships in the industry right now. Brother Hugh had one of his background before he was having technical difficulties. But did you learn anything new about championship design for yourself, one, as someone who also designs championship belts, from someone that does this, kind of in the public eye of our industry? And what was the best part about having a conversation with someone that's that active right now in the industry? Like I said, Maple Leaf Pro is a big deal. No one can figure out what that promotion is. They're like, is it an indie? Is it a promotion? It is what it has a rich history, and Scott D'Amore taking over and kind of, once he wasn't able to do TNA, people don't realize how much of a real estate tycoon Scott D'Amore is, and what he's doing with Maple Leaf Pro now is unbelievable. And I think it's only a matter of time before it actually becomes even more than what it is now. Even it's kind of undefined at this moment. But how did you feel about talking to another belt designer? What insight did you gain from what he's already done as far as the industry is concerned?
It definitely, when it comes to designing belts, like I had an inkling about Stones, and he confirmed some of my suspicions about Stones. And then always make sure, depending on where the belt will be seen, what goes into the design. Because case in point, on TV, total different mentality if it's just for indie promotion. Because the way that the light hits it, and then you like, and I agree with what he said. He said he always tries to make the belts feel like they belong in the same family, not that
Okay.
it's a whole bunch of this design here, this design there. Each one should feel like a big deal, and that's probably why I like TNA belts so much, because all of them feel like they could maintain on their own as the top prize. And he made sure that he was saying how he designs it for promotion. He makes it feel like each one is special or unique, and they all have to look equally as good. in our own way. So it was good to hear that insight and seeing somebody that has a proven track record where he stated, I think he said he's doing 30 to 40 designs a month for
Oh
different
wow, that's a lot.
promotions, different
Yeah,
people. And he was like, people hit him up to design belts for video games, different things like that. So it was definitely good to hear that and know that it seems like, okay, that makes sense. Because like we said about the TWC belt, I didn't want to put any stones on it because I was fearful when they fall off, it changes the look. But
sure.
then he made designs that could have had stones but didn't. But then on the newest belt, he said they specifically said no stones. So he altered the design, subtle little things to still keep it in the same family. So that was good to hear. And it was always good to hear what people are requesting because that gave me more stuff to think about.
Right. Okay. Well, listen, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to spoil it even more. If you want to go back and check out this episode of Championship Culture, it's the first one of season 4. I suggest you go back and you watch it on youtube.com/the Wrestling Realm playlist Championship Culture. Like I said, season 4. It's Championship Culture behind the plates featuring Craig of Hellfire Design. Such a talented designer, such an amazing designer. Like I say, he's given us some of the best looking championships that we have currently right now in the world of professional wrestling. And like I said, and go back and watch the belt room tour from the guy. He was gracious enough to open up his space to show the world what his belt room looks like, and join the conversation. I think you guys start sending in pics of your belt rooms for all the belt collectors. Start showing the world what you got. What's your favorite setup? Do you got details? Do you hang them on the wall? Do you have cases? All that stuff. And it's such a large community. And I believe season 4 is probably going to start bringing that community together much, much more. And I'm looking forward to it. So, like I said, once again, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. on youtube.com/the Wrestling Realm. That's where you can find Championship Culture. Brother Guy, any last words about season 4 before we get moving?
I will have to say, I think it's going to be the evolution of what each season had been built on. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Okay.
It's
All
not to
right.
borrow a pun, but it's some good things we got in the pipeline, and you actually got to see that with Hellfire Designs, and that was a happy accident that happened, and you never know who's watching your posts because that's how we found. He literally saw a post and was like, "Oh, I really appreciate that," and I was like, "Oh, this is who did it." So that was a good thing. So never know.
There you go. You never know who's watching. All right. So there you go. And like I said, we back in the mix. So here we go. There you have it.
Yippee! Well, that's it.
So
Oh yeah, that's only on the first part.
see, it's been a while. That's how long it's been.
Yippee!
So
I love that.
there's one thing that we do after we talk about championship culture. We always decide to say, hey, let's give back to the fans. Let them get to know us a tad bit better. So each week we have 2 alternating segments known as Wrestling Room Facts and Unpopular Opinion. Why? What's the point of Wrestling Room Facts and Unpopular Opinion? I'm glad you asked. It is here so that the people who are listening to this show can have a better understanding of who the hosts are. Who do you relate to the most? Who is your fandom just like? So we came up with these segments so you all can get to know us just a tad bit better. And Wrestling Realm Facts is just a segment where we ask a question from each of the hosts and they give an answer to give you a better insight of what type of wrestling fan they are, where did they come from, why they like what they like. So today is no different. Unpopular opinion is a tad bit spicier. It usually, and it sets the tone for shows. That will be back next week. But this week it is time
Oh
for
God.
Wrestling Realm Facts. So we have a little bit of a positivity. But like I said, continuing in championship culture fashion, this week's Wrestling Realm Facts question of the week that I proposed to the brothers was, if there was one championship that could represent you as a pro wrestling fan, and yes, I know that's hard, but I do mean it. It's got to be one. What's the one championship belt? You know what? This belt represents me. And of course, there's a story behind it. That is the question that was proposed to our hosts this week. So we could have a pretty decent conversation about it. And you all can get to know us through championship belts. How beautiful is that symbolism that we use championship belts for you to get to know us a little bit better as fans. Don't call it a comeback. Just in time.
We're gonna try it again.
It's all good,
He was
man. I'm
right.
happy. We got Brother Hugh on this goddamn show. We here, bro. It doesn't matter. I don't care how many technical difficulties we have. We're gonna make this happen.
There's the answer.
Yeah, I'm here. You don't have to worry. I'm good. I'm here. I'm waiting for you.
And Brother Hugh was having technical difficulties, but listen, we got him back. So it is all good in his hood. So just in time, Brother Hugh, we are going to do Wrestling Realm facts. So who wants to go first? Who wants to give the answer for this week's Wrestling Realm facts question of the week, which is once again, if there was one championship belt that represents you as a professional wrestling fan, a professional wrestling fan, what championship belt would it be?
All right, let me
Brother
take
Guy.
this one.
Oh, okay, Brian H was to go first. Let's say Brother Guy seems fitting, but that's okay. Brian H, you're feeling kind of bold today. You know what? I think we're gonna start adding some drum rolls to this too. Usually we don't show drum roll love to Restaurant Facts, but this is a big deal too. So, like I said, without further ado, Brian H, could you please tell the world what championship belt represents you as a fan? Drum roll, please.
It is the championship that sits on over my left shoulder, and that is the best looking intercontinental championship. And the reason it's that one is simply because when I go back into like my life, I think about being a wrestling fan, right? And being a wrestling fan in the golden era. And everybody loves the Winged Eagle. That's fine. But the Winged Eagle is something that's mainstream. And I look at the Intercontinental Championship like me, like I'm here whether wrestling is super popular or it's not. And that's how I always felt about the IC title, right? We talk about the workhorses, we talk about the Savages, the Steamboats, the Bret Harts, the Shawn Michaels, the Razor Ramones, right? Those were, Macho Man was obviously mainstream because of Slim Jim and all that. But let's just put him in this conversation right now. These are the people, when you ask people, who do you like wrestling? Like, what, do you like wrestling and whatnot? These are the ones it's the people that held that title. Now, I am someone who loves the sports entertainment side first. I'm always going to side with the sports entertainment to lead me to the actual graps. It's the reason why I don't watch UFC, because unless it's Daniel Cormier and John Jones, I don't know why they fight it. But wrestling always gives me that. But as a fan of the business, it's the Intercontinental title, because the Intercontinental title represents me falling in love with the business at that age, when this was hot and popular, as well as it being the workhorse title. And so, and then just look at it. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
Well, listen, you got no arguments for me, buddy, and you're probably going to find out in a little while. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The block logo, WWE Intercontinental Championship.
So glad you said that.
Yeah, it's because it's like there's no real name for this championship, right? Like, what do we call this version of it? But that's pretty much what it's known as.
Reggie Parks.
Sure, there you go. The Reggie Parks IC title. So yeah, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the one championship that represents Brian H as a wrestling fan. So when you see him on the street, and I'm talking about you, random guy, you guys can talk about how he did Brian H's face as soon as I said random guy. Oh man, that's got to be a gift. Please, I hope you block that part off social media. So when you see Brian H, random guy, please, next time we are out, by all means, please come up to him randomly and have that conversation with him about how you feel the same way about the WWF. We're gonna say it. Block WWF Reggie Parks block logo Intercontinental Championship belt. Oh yes, this is great. We're starting off this show hot, brother guy. Talk to the people. I think you were split for a lot of reasons, and you're gonna laugh when you find out the rest of how this all plays out. But you were struggling. You initially was stuck between two different championships, right? And you were like, oh, this is difficult. First of all, when I first proposed this question last week or 2 weeks ago, you were like, oh my goodness, I'm glad you didn't ask that. I said, well, good. Guess what? Because now the next time we have this, I'm going to ask that question because you weren't here. You were off the coast of Nicaragua feeding orphan chickens, doing your duty, man. We definitely appreciate your commitment to this, making this world a better place, by the way. So when you came back, I made sure to save this one just for you. You're the belt guy, fresh off of season 4, fresh off a new belt design, fresh off of talking to someone that creates belts. This is a belt frenzied week. So tell the world, brother guy, the belt king himself, if there was a championship belt to represent you as a pro wrestling fan, what championship belt would it be? Drum roll, please.
Oh no, I couldn't hear the drum roll. Okay. Did I interrupt it?
No, you're good.
No, you want
That's your turn. Go ahead.
Okay. So it's crazy because it's more than a belt because every belt has a story. But I will say this. It is the ROH World Tag Team Championship. I'm sorry, World Championship, right? So the reason being, a lot of people didn't like this belt. A lot of people didn't understand the belt.
Me included.
But to understand the belt, you got to understand the company itself. And if we're going to be real, and I'm going to just say this for a minute, if it wasn't for Ring of Honor, we wouldn't be enjoying the kind of wrestling that we have today. It was the proving ground,
Facts.
and it gave us the blueprint for what modern wrestling looks like today. And it could be whether it's your style that you just want to see wrestling, you want to see storytelling within it. It helped create the stars that we are celebrating now and we want to see. You can't say this company without saying people like Daniel Bryan, Samoa Joe, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, the Young Bucks, the Briscoes, the name go on and on and on and on, right? But when you think about that, somebody gave them a start. Somebody gave them a chance. Somebody saw something in them. And that's always been my story. Somebody gave me a chance. Somebody saw something in me. No matter what was going on, it was at that point. And it felt like every version of that belt has truly upgraded to the point that it was like, you know what? That's a championship. Like, no matter what happens, this is where the people that might have been at the top saying, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. But somebody was their hand or somebody was the one pushing them. And I've always had people surrounding me, hence why I'm sitting here right now with the wrestling realm, pushing me to be that. So it was like, if it wasn't for ROH and if it wasn't for that championship, where would the guy be? Shucks, I still be right. We call him Brandon. Somebody in the show coined me as the guy, and it kind of
I'm not.
stuck. So now when people,
It's a pretty cool name, by the way. I don't know who gave it to you, but I think it's pretty
yeah, I
cool.
don't know who called the guy, but it's just the fact. Like for instance, we could talk about a Christopher Daniels. Should have been world champion. How many
No,
times
there you
over?
go again.
Ring of Honor gave him that title, right? I'm gonna keep saying it.
He
Somebody
was Ring of
like
Honor world
a
champion,
Roosh,
wasn't he?
yeah,
Wow.
somebody like a Roosh who had proved himself everywhere, and they said, "Finally, here you go,
True.
Bandito." You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just saying the hell that specific one, Matt Taven, who, hey, let me show you, I can do this.
He was a
At a
loyalist.
time where it was more entertaining, it was bigger money, it was more stuff out there for you to look at. He
Mhm.
was still there being the flag bearer for that company. And that's why I mean that championship is going to represent me because it's always been the underappreciated, the undervalued, but it has so much weight to it because I guarantee you, if you take a wrestler that you enjoy right now, you probably could trace it back to Ring of Honor, even to the point Okada went there and did things. Um, Will Ospreay was there for a little while. Switchblade, you name it, they were there. Shinsuke Nakamura, all of these people had to have something, and they said, "Come on, we'll give you a chance." So that's why that title represents me.
Well said, brother guy. Now, see, I was ready to just completely throw whatever you said against the wall like a hot cupcake on a Sunday morning. I'm not sure where I got that from. I just made it up.
What? A hot cake on
You
a
could have
okay.
just said pancakes, but I'll take
Right.
cupcake.
Cupcake
It's
on
cool.
a
I
Sunday
don't know.
morning. Okay.
I don't know because I was just because that's how much I loathe that belt. But I'm gonna tell you what messed me up. You brought up a lot of bright spots for Ring of Honor during that time period. It seemed like it was on its last legs for the Sinclair broadcasting era. But like I said, for the reasons that you mentioned, those were I'm like, ah, shoot. He said he's going to make all this sense now. I'm like, ah, crap, he's right. Matt Taven becoming world champion was a special moment because you know, we this is a guy that was getting Paulie short chance when they first got to Baltimore.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And for him to have lasted, like you said, it was everybody was gone by that point. Guys like Roosh and Bandito. I mean, it especially during that pandemic era. You know what I mean? Where these guys were still putting on like 5-star level matches in empty arenas still. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And I was like, dang it, this is gonna make sense. Okay, now I can't crap on this championship belt. I got no beef with it. I just like the one previously before that. They should have just
That's
gave Dave Milliken his money. Should just gave him his money for his royalties, but it's okay. I understand that. So, but there you have it. See, that was well said. That's why we're storytellers. That's how it has to be. So I'm gonna go because we're still waiting for Brother Hugh to get himself situated.
Oh,
And that
let's
is-
guess. I wonder which one this is. Like,
I guess we have no choice. Let's just give us a drum roll, please, so we can figure out realness. If there was a championship belt to represent you as a wrestling fan, what championship belt would it be? Drum roll, please. You guessed it. It is. I don't mean to talk like Bill Cosby. The block logo. Intercontinental Championship belt. That's the face that I make when I see that championship. Goodness gracious, brother guy, if you had just chosen this, we could have been triplets. We could have all said, because for people who aren't sure, this was, I don't know if it's this particular championship because you like that ugly circle over one, but this is one that you were struggling with between this one and the Ring of Honor championship. But yes, the realness. If there was one championship to describe me as a wrestling fan, let me explain. I grew up in a house with two major wrestling friends, which was my daddy and my older brother, the Bob. The Bob was always the champion in my house. That's just the way that it was. He was dominant. He was bigger than me. He made sure that he was the number one. But I was always a close number two. I was always a challenger. I was always a champion in my own right. So what championship belt represents that attitude, that spirit? The one that's good enough to hold the world title, but he just can't get past the big bad wolf who happens to be holding a strap. That was always me. When we always wrestled every match we had every Monday after my mama went to work because she worked 11 to 7 night shift. Sorry, mama, we did wrestle after you told us to go to bed. I apologize just in case you watch this, even though I know you're not. It was always the WWE, WWF champion because we were Attitude Era guys versus the WWF Intercontinental Champion. And even though the championship had changed in my mind, I was always this champion. I was always the guy that was good enough to be there and I was cutting my teeth, but I could never get. And that's how it was in my house. My brother was very dominant. He was like, bro, no, you got to get, you want anything done around here. You want to be the star around here, buddy. You got to get through me. And that was always that challenge that kept me going. That was always the fun part of our brotherhood. It was always this, I could never beat him, but he would, anytime we wrestled, every time we had a match, it's how it went down. My brother would never put me over. I'm gonna tell you what he did do though. He let me get all my stuff in. My sharpshooter, my flying elbow, my flying forearm, all that stuff. He would let me get all my stuff in. Never went over. You say, well, Realness, how did you guys determine these champions? First of all, children, don't try this at home, but we still did. How do you determine who wins the match? It was about endurance. Whoever just gave up, like, bro, I'm tired of wrestling, bro. We would just wrestle and we would do stuff. And after a while, like he would pin you. If you kicked out, you hit, like, you know, it was kind of a unspoken agreement. You know, you don't hold down a pin. It's just, all right, if you kicked out, you kicked out. But after a while, you be wrestling an hour and a half go through. You're like, bro, I'm tired, bro. Just forget it. He's like, you might as well just tap out. He would do stuff, just exhaust. I would get all my stuff in. He wouldn't tap. I'm telling you, I would be getting over with the fans, but I never won. You know what I mean? But I feel like I was a fan favorite. So that's why
was really on heart.
I'm trying to tell you.
Brett never put him over, but he got to let him get his stuff in.
That's why anything brother related in wrestling, we were front and center. That's why I beef with him to this day because we were supposed to be a tag team. We saw Harlem Heat. It was over. I was like, oh, we up next. We didn't like, wait a minute, this is a thing? All right. That's just the way that it was. And then eventually we got to beefing. We got older. We had different ideals. So, you know, I was the champion of my division. He was a champion of his. You know, I was an IC title guy. He was always running his mouth like, you got to get through me. I'm the big dog. And I'm like, let me tell you something. I was always, my favorite wrestlers held this championship. Before they became world champions, Shawn Michaels, Intercontinental Champion. Bret Hart, Intercontinental Champion. I was like, man, this is me right now. I'm like, my next step to be world champion. Now, we never got to that place is because when we was supposed to get the WWF Attitude Replica
Oh,
Championship.
here we go.
I'm going to tell that story one day in a way that story has never been told. And I'm going to bury my brother like Undertaker and Mankind in 95 or 6. Who knows what year it was. But anyway.
Oh, she did the thing.
Did you say
she
you gonna bury him?
I'm going to bury him. But
My
that
bad.
is the reason.
Skylar Diggins did the thing.
Oh boy, did the
They
thing.
about to beat the Lynx.
Oh boy. That is why.
Now, realness, you didn't like the one with the red logo?
It was before my time. I had no beef with that because it was the same thing. You know what I mean? Like as long as it was that shape, you know what I mean? But I didn't discover that until later in life, like watching the old tapes. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So
you didn't know it was there until you're like, oh, that was that.
It was literally, I got exposed to that era of wrestling, like that paid attention to it was literally the Best of WrestleMania VHS tape. I mean, that was my favorite wrestling tape for such a long time. But I got a chance, like I knew about wrestling. I saw it in passing in the magazine, but I didn't pay any mind. But when I was old enough to start really getting tapes, I really started to study, like watching wrestling. And I was like, oh, that's the first time I saw Macho Man in trunks. I was like, wait a minute, look at Savage. He's flying and flipping. He's much leaner. It's different. And I was like, oh my goodness. So like, I wasn't privy to that era. I found out about that time period just a tad bit later. But like I said, this championship was always front and center. This is probably my favorite of all time, probably so. But yeah, like I said, that belt was symbolic to me. That belt definitely represented me to the fullest. So yeah, that's me. That's why
Nighthawk is back.
Who?
The Nighthawk.
I know. I'm like, I'm about to say, brother guys, he watching comics now? So
never that player.
He said the wrong thing.
I was confused. I was like, wait a minute. Had to stop. So, brother Hugh, can you hear us? You good?
I hear y'all.
Okay.
Y'all hear me?
Yeah.
All right,
you're good. So, brother,
I blame a certain presence in the comments. That's what I blame.
Uh-oh.
Somebody's looking for you. That's what it is.
Under the comments. But brother Hugh, we just talked about, I don't know if you heard anything or not. Have you been hearing everything at least?
No, not really. No, I've just been trying to put things together.
You can trust me, when you go back and watch this, you're gonna love these stories. So Brian Nash talked about why his championship belt that represents him as a fan is this: the WWF block logo Intercontinental Championship, right? And then brother God told the world why this Ring of Honor World Championship, the last one of its era before the transition to AEW, why this was his championship belt that represents him as a wrestling fan. And then the realness. He explained why his WWF block logo championship belt represents him as a wrestling fan. And now, like I said, we have added the drum roll, right? We have added the drum roll to add a little pizzazz because we wasn't showing the Wrestling Realm facts enough love and anticipation. But we have got to hear from Brother Hugh what championship belt represents you as a pro wrestling fan. Are you ready to do this? You ready?
And why is it the white strap Intercontinental? Because Dolph Ziggler held it.
Oh wow! Drum roll, please. Here you go, Brother Hugh. Oops, I can't find a drum roll. There it is.
All right, it's the WCW Cruiserweight Championship.
Now I gotta hear.
Oh, the reason is because when I was a young pup, me and my brother, we're little guys. We were short guys, not big in stature, but for when I watched wrestling, those guys always stole the show for me, and that was the steal your show belt for me. And I can relate to that because, well, me and my brother, no matter what we did, whether it's playing sports, giving speeches, doing whatever, we always seem to steal the show, do it confidently, and not be cocky about it. We just went in, did the work, and I can relate to that title. That one of the major reasons I tuned into WCW at the time was the Cruiserweight division and Booker T. I say it all the time. That was it. But those guys, they put on great wrestling matches every night. You talking about guys like Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Jericho. Then my favorite at that point in time was Juventud Guerrero. But
Mask or no mask?
Yeah.
That's
tough. That's tough. That's tough. I'm gonna have to go back and do some research on that.
I feel like it was like two different people though.
I can't give you that answer right now. But
okay, fair enough.
But yeah. It defined me. I was always looked upon as like an underdog in certain situations, especially like I said, playing sports, just academics, whatever. Just because of my physical appearance at that point in time. But I always delivered. Always
He
stole the
was
show.
really 4'7". That's a fact.
That's true. That's true. About less than 100 pounds, right?
Yep.
God dang,
Small
Rey
body.
Mysterio Jr.
Small body.
He
Hey,
went from Ray to Dominic.
that's what I did. Good Lord.
Well, listen, man, that's an excellent story. This is I was telling brother guy before, as you were going in and out, I said, man, this is a very championship heavy show this week. Like I said, fresh off the debut of season 4 champion 1. I was like, man, it's only fitting we got to do this question, especially after brother guy tried to duck, he was getting away from it. So I told him if a duck could pull a drunk, just shut up and hook the sucker up.
What's up?
What's up? So
Y'all don't hear me.
it seems fitting to have this championship conversation.
Brother, he was up there talking about speeches. He ain't talking about the speech he really gave that really won him the belt.
Oh, you talking about that Martin Luther?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a dream.
So you were one of those kids. There's always a one kid that does the I have a dream speech for the talent show. It was
they had 3 black kids.
Hey, bro,
they had to choose one of us.
Oh,
you
was protesting.
Guess what? I killed it. I had people in that bad boy crying.
You know how racist that would be if you didn't win.
Nobody was crying.
Right.
No,
but he killed it.
They loved it.
I said that I was on stage. I was Frederick Douglass looking up and said, "Yeah, yeah."
I felt like I was Frederick Douglass looking up.
He was Frederick
Oh
Douglass.
my God!
That was
Why does
Frederick
it start
Douglass.
like this?
The problem is
Douglas looking up.
Yeah,
Somebody just tuned in and said, "What are they talking about?"
now I'm gonna tell you the story. Here's what happened that got messed up. My grandmother had dialysis because I was about to wear the wig.
Oh,
she had a wig for me. I was gonna steal the show, but I put Brother Hugh over.
Let's see. Here we go.
See?
Here we go.
Well, there you have it, ladies.
One word, 4 letters. Go.
Lost.
He said,
Brother Hugh killed it. Came in with the blue jacket, the baby blue jacket. He was killing it.
You guys are lucky they didn't have cell phones back in those days because the stories you guys tell,
Listen,
I just need
imagine somebody
visuals.
tuned in and say, "I was sitting in the audience with Frederick Douglass." On the concert, I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
"Wait a minute, let me tune into this. Can I rewind it? Let me see what this is about."
I'm telling you, we're celebrating our truth, man. So what's up? It's shenanigans gonna be everywhere. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. See, add a little bit of spice to our restaurant facts. I thought this was a really good question to do this week, man. This is fun. Like I said, stories are the one thing that people always love to dive into. The stories. Storytelling is always fun. But yes, man, I definitely enjoyed you brother's stories, and I learned something new. Especially, I know we all like championship belts and stuff like that, but the reason behind it, it's always fun to put context to these types of things. So next week we will return with our most fabled, infamous, unpopular opinion. That usually has not as much of a positive tone as restaurant facts. But if
Don't let Hugo first.
it's just not
He
something
might
to
get
do.
angry.
So this disrupts the entire show. But for those who are watching, whether you are watching through YouTube, through X, through social media, whatever, please post us your championship belt. What championship belt represents you as a pro wrestling fan? It's something to think about. Like if I had to think about a championship title that represents me as a fan, what would it be? So, like I said, share us your thoughts and what you think and all this stuff, and join in the fun with us. Like it's not just about us. We're having a lot of fun. We want you to be involved. So yeah. So at this time of the show, we went a little bit long, but it's okay because we're celebrating. Our truth is back. Championship culture is back. Brother Hugh was a cruiserweight champion. He's back. This is wonderful. But we're moving right along because it is now officially time for our co-hosts, Apollo Creed and Rocky Balboa, to help us do the honors and ceremoniously ring the bell so that we can officially get into the meat and potatoes of tonight's show, which is the Money in the Bank Fallout, the results, who won, why they won, was it the right call, what's going to happen next, and the return of what's up, our truth, or is it Ron the Truth Killings? What's the difference between the two? We're going to talk about that and more. But first, let us do this the correct way. Gentlemen.
Want to ring the bell?
Ding, ding.
All right, the bell is officially been rung, and let's jump into it. Good
Now,
brother.
realness.
Yes,
Every
sir.
time you say gentlemen, I feel like you want to say start your engines.
It feels that way. I feel like I'm unofficially saying it, but it's like because this is the part where we start getting into the heaviness. This is where you got to start paying attention. This is where social clips start becoming clickbait for the people to pay close attention to, because we are fresh off a heavy week of pro wrestling going on, right? We had AEW. Oops, sorry. We had WWE Worlds Collide with NXT and AAA. We also had Money in the Bank, and we had a surprise return from Raw and the Truth Killings. Now, the question is, was this a work? Was this intended? Do we really trust the fact that they're saying no, this was real? Do we really trust this? Or hey, do the fans finally do what the fans always do? And that's changed the mind of the corporate brass. Now, do we trust anybody? Who knows? But we're going to talk about all that and more. So let's start off pretty light. Let's start off with Money in the Bank. Now, we have two Money in the Bank holders now, right? We have a winner. We had a bunch of losers, but more importantly, we have quite a few winners. So let's first talk about the pay-per-view overall. Excuse me, the PLE overall. What did you guys?
You correct, brother. It's the PLE, baby.
Excuse me, the premium live events. Yes, the PLE. How did you guys overall feel about this year's Money in the Bank?
Yes, sir. I loved it. The right woman won, so that made me happy. Set the tone for the night. Then the impromptu match, which was made at Worlds Collide, which was a phenomenal show. Getting to see my man Dirty Dom do his thing. I thought that was good. Then I'm like, okay, on the solo and Jacob Fatu of it all, I get it, I understand. I think I just kind of wanted to see go a little bit longer, but obviously, Truth coming back, those are the moments you love. You know, the stuff that you don't see coming, because it's the moments that make you pop. And overall, I thought, and Seth Rollins winning, okay, Becky Lynch winning. It was a great night for them. So I was happy Lynch did one. I really enjoyed that match. She's taken Lyra to a new level. Now, I'm ready to see Lyra in that world title picture. So
Already?
yeah. I want to see Becky. Oh, Becky and Bailey. Did you see Bailey Monday night?
Mm-hmm. I think we all did. It's a lot going on, everybody.
So yeah, it was a great Money in the Bank.
Okay, Brother Hugh, how did you feel about this year's Money in the Bank? Did it tickle your fancy? How did it measure up to previous ones? Was it good? Did you like the results? Ups, downs?
Yeah, it was all right.
Oh, you don't seem too enthralled.
No. They started off hot with Naomi winning. I was pleased with that, but Dirty Dom, he did his thing. Showed out, had a nice clean match. He's showing that he can actually wrestle now.
Now?
Yeah, now. Because remember,
Bro,
before,
Unpopular Opinion is next week, Brother Hugh. God dang.
You've been wrestling for 2 years.
Bro. I'm a chill. But look, yeah, he's showing out a little bit now, but Becky Lynch match, I was like, all right, whatever, I don't care. The Money in the Bank, okay. The winner, all right. But who else was going to win out of that group that they had?
Penta.
He was going to give it to LA Knight?
So, no. See, that's, you know what?
You going to give it to...
Oh! Here you go with LA Knight hate. There you go again.
Hey, man, look, you going to give it to Penta at this point in time? No, because you had Grande Americano in there. You still going to keep on with that beef. I don't know why, but come on now. Like, what are we going to do? What are we doing?
Brother Hugh, the Orioles won tonight, 10-1. This is not ceremonious of you when the Orioles win.
Yeah, you're right. But you asked me to speak the truth, so I'm gonna speak the truth.
Absolutely. The whole truth and nothing
you asked for
the truth.
Absolutely. Like, it was a show. I was like, all right, cool, I'm good, because like I said, like I always say, it's wrestling.
Yeah,
I can't be mad.
You're gonna watch it anyway.
For me, the match that stole the weekend was the 4-way for the North American title at Worlds Collide. That was everything for me.
Okay.
Yo,
All right.
Oh, so you like Javon Evans now?
who said
No,
I
he's
didn't
a
like
he's
him?
a he's a he's a Ethan Page fan. He loves Ethan
Yeah,
Page.
definitely. Actually, I do like Ethan Page a lot. But
And
those
You,
four
you
guys
was you
working
was you was
working
a big
together,
Evans
they.
hater.
You said what?
You was a big Evans hater.
you wasn't feeling the young
Nah,
boy, brother? You?
I don't
Nah,
remember
because
that. But
he reminded of the dudes that used to irritate him in college.
Oh, okay. All right. This I can't wait. Listen, don't listen. You don't have to rush. We're gonna tell these stories. We're gonna. I
hey,
can't.
we can
This is
talk
going to
about
be
it,
fun.
whatever.
But go ahead, finish up.
Can't dispute that he
This is. I
I
like.
can't dispute that he can go in the ring though. So I mean, let's be honest.
But
He puts on a
but
show every time he comes in and he go in the ring.
is
I
that all?
like
Is
him.
that all you had to think about this? About Money in the Bank though? Are you finished? Because you have
Yeah,
a
I'm
different
done with
perspective.
that.
Okay, you sound like you was
Congratulations,
over
Naomi.
before it even started.
Yeah, congratulations,
Black Girl
Naomi.
Magic,
That's about it.
solidarity.
That's it. Yeah, it is. I'm done with
We
everything
Okay.
else.
missed a moment though. Y'all know that at the
Oh, of
What?
BET
course.
Awards.
My bad. I
Oh,
forgot. I don't know how I forgot. My guy R-Truth came back. I'm glad he
Mm.
came back as Ron Killings, NWA style. Like I said
what's
before,
up?
that's what we needed. I'm here with.
Yeah,
I'm
You
yeah.
here
said
for
it.
it. So
All right.
yeah, now I'm done. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. So, in other words, solidarity to Money in the Bank. You know what that means. If you know, you know.
Amen.
brother,
Amen.
brother guy, how did you feel about this weekend of wrestling? Did you enjoy Money in the Bank? Did you like the results? Brother Hugh wasn't all that impressed with it. It sounds to me, brother, Hugh, and I want to put words in your mouth. It sounds like you were like, it seemed kind of obvious. You know, I wasn't that enthralled. I appreciated it, but I wasn't impressed with it overall. But brother guy, how did you feel about it this year? Did you enjoy this year's Money in the Bank? Were you happy with the results? Did you like how things played out? Do you like where things are going?
So it's crazy because this is not a pay per view I will go back and watch again, but I enjoyed it. So it's not on that list of stuff I want to put back. I want to say, oh, let me watch this again. Nothing really drew me to say I want to see this match again, or oh man, I can remember these moments. I think I had put out my head that Naomi was going to win because that's who. Remember, I said I want my heart to win, but my mind was saying they're going to give it to Roxanne. But then I'm like,
Mhm.
when she advanced on Monday, I said, oh, I forgot they got Queen in the Ring. That could be her consolation prize. Still get her to the title, right? But then I'm going to agree with you. Dominic Mysterio
Mhm.
has finally stopped jobbing, and he's actually letting himself be a wrestler. He's just been taking
Mm.
pins and just been the comedic or the heel. Now he's actually showing, y'all know I can actually do this. I can go in the ring. I got people I'm comfortable with that can actually we can do things with. So I enjoyed that exchange. Um, I don't think I was against Seth winning, but then I
Mhm.
thought about it. Seth winning gives Roman something to do. So
Uh-oh.
that's why I'm okay with it at this point. Because after I thought, I was like, you literally could have gave it to anybody else in this match because we know Naomi is a former champion. Get her back to the title. We had other people that could be made a champion, but we didn't. And what better way to if you would have gave it to a Penta, he challenged and wound up on the same show with his brother, or you gave it to a Andrade that's really doing on nothing right now and build him back up, and he could have challenged for something else. You get what I'm saying? You could have really used that to tell a different story
Mhm.
because the only reason I feel like they gave it to Seth is because he was the star of the match. But if Seth leads to Roman being a thorn in his side now, and every time he go cash in, the music hits, he like, God dang it, not him again. And Roman stops him, I'm perfectly fine with it. Because I think it's time for Roman to be the thorn in his side. Because Seth has been the thorn in his side for so long. And then the main event I could care less about. Um, just gonna say what it is until our truth came and made it more exciting.
What's up?
because because I hate
Yeah.
throwaway tag matches with your world champion. I'd rather it not have been there. So,
Hmm.
but if that's what we got was our truth back, yes, absolutely great, love it, thanks. But Worlds
WWE
Collide
did.
was
Oh, my
oh
bad. My bad. I thought you was done. My
no,
bad.
but
Go ahead. No, I was about
you're
to say
right. Oh,
WWE. They did a great job with creating moments. That's what they always do. And just simple spots such as that Logan Paul spot where he caught the drone and Cody did the superplex off the top rope.
That was cool.
Phenomenal. It was great for TV, and it's great
Yeah.
for social media. So yeah,
Right.
As
And
far as their
Stephanie
moments,
McGill doing
moments,
the Booker T on the
yeah,
ladder, as he wants it to be called, Booker T.
Wow.
right. WWE always delivers with that, so I'll give them that. But
And I
for Money in the Bank,
and last thing I will say, Worlds Collide was just a ton of fun. It was
Mhm.
a good way to showcase. The only thing that y'all know, I love when they do international shows. I think it's great because that audience gets the WWE product. Now it's the reverse. We're getting a product that we haven't been exposed to. I was trying to follow it, but I don't know about y'all. I couldn't. Subtitles wasn't working. I wanted to know what the story was being told. I wanted to know why. It wasn't until when Stephanie Valkyrie got the pin, I understood. Oh, she just beat her teacher. When they said student has beat the teacher, that's why they were so important in that match.
Hmm.
But if I would have had that content, I probably been more invested. But because it was like it was a good match, I was still there. But because of the language barrier on my end, I felt it a little tough to watch, and I was just able to just enjoy the wrestling. And when I say it was a ton of fun, my point was proven. Chad Gable is going to have a job, and that's why certain people don't, because that match with him and Kingo, that perfect. Nobody else in WWE at this time could have taken that loss and came out better on the other side than him, Chad
Yeah,
Gable. That's
Shaq
it.
Game's on a different level. I don't
Yeah,
understand how you can keep
and he
losing
came
a
with him.
match
That's
and
the
it
crazy
doesn't
part.
mean anything.
Yeah, and it was
He's not
like,
he's not a traditional lucha. He's not really considered a cruiserweight. Like he's just a pound for pound, like Kurt Angle Jr. You know what I mean?
mhm.
literally,
And he
literally,
just
Like,
strong
keeps
everything.
impressing you. Like, think about it, he keeps doing stuff that's going to keep impressing you, and even if they run that match back and he gets the title, okay, I'm not a fan of other people getting other promotion title, but it made me say, wow.
Trick
You know what
William
I mean? But the the whole thing, when you look at Worlds Collide, it served its purpose. It
yeah,
was a ton of fun. It was just
and exposure
I didn't
as well.
watch it. Yeah. And then, us being wrestling fans, now we're all on this Mr. Iguana. Oh, wait, Friday nobody cared about Mr. Iguana. Now all of a sudden Saturday, he's the hottest thing
He's
ever.
I bro overnight. Isn't that crazy?
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, and we didn't even talk about Lindsay Dorado
Yep.
made his return in the ring. We know he was involved, but it was like, oh, you're building him as part of the LWO. So
And,
that
and,
was kind of
and you
cool
remember
to
he
see
was,
what.
he went away from being Lindsay Dorado for a little bit. Remember, he was like,
Mhm.
I'm unmasking. So
And he was in. Now he's in NXT. I think, is he a trainer here? Is that what you said? He came back as a trainer, right?
Yeah, he was a trainer.
okay,
Yeah, and he came back and evolved, helping the young talent out down there.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So
That
he
makes
found the
sense.
space, but I'm glad he was able to showcase himself and show he still got it in AAA. So, um, great weekend of wrestling. I'll probably go to, like you said, it was 746 dives, 938 Spanish flies. What was the other you said it was? Torpedo dives. Oh, it was so much happening,
Hurricane
but it was,
head
It was
scissors.
yeah, correct.
it was
It's
lucha
a, it was
lucha-tastic.
Lucha. Yeah.
I loved it
And
though.
definitely Corey Graves,
Yes,
I felt like he was great on every moment. Nothing felt like if Conan said something off the wall or something that didn't fit, he cleaned it up so well that it just felt so good. And Corey Graves definitely proved, I do this. I got this. So
Yeah,
perfect, perfect, perfect pair
yeah.
for him
Conan
to
was
do Worlds Collide.
he was very gracious to Corey Graves for just his overall performance, and he was like, man, I just want to thank you publicly, for pretty much carrying this whole thing, man. Like Conan's old school, and he's like, I called you
Mm-hmm.
friend. They'll be the first to tell you that there's no friends in the wrestling business. You know what I mean? But he was
Yeah.
like, man, I gained a new friend, man. His professionalism, how he carried it, it fits so well with what we were trying to do. Like I said, it's coming from Conan. Conan's pretty stiff. You know what I mean? When it comes
Mm-hmm.
to his opinions and stuff
Facts.
like that. So, remember, people don't remember his interviews back in the day. So for him to say that, man, like I said, Corey Graves is, it's good to have guys that are familiar with other products outside of WWE. So yeah, Worlds Collide, this is, I guess this is the most streamed like YouTube wrestling show or something like that. I don't know if it's for WWE or for AAA or who they were referring to, but
But it looked good too. I loved it. It
yeah, the
felt like
presentation. It was no
it felt like a
six-sided
big
ring.
deal.
You notice that? No
Yeah.
six-sided ring,
Uh-huh.
20 by 20, no 18 by 18.
Yeah, you saw
So
that.
I don't know if they're going to do away from the six-sided ring for good. That's one of the traditional things, sometimes in lucha culture, as far as wrestling is concerned, especially in AAA. But like I said, we will see. But yes, Worlds Collide was excellent. But like I said, it was a big weekend, and Money in the Bank seems like it kind of got overshadowed by R-Truth returning. But like I said, before we get to that, man, goodness gracious, Seth Rollins is your Money in the Bank winner. Now, you guys are convinced that this is going to lead to Roman Reigns kind of moving over to another 1,000-day reign as World Heavyweight Champion. You got Gunther, you got Seth Rollins, and then most likely you got Roman. Are we already kind of penciling this in at some point that, hey, Seth Rollins is probably going to win this back, and he's either going to make somebody else, or Roman Reigns is going to find his way back to this championship as well? WWE's in the business of making money. So it's like, does Sami Zayn finally win King of the Ring and get his chance at the world title? Or is it a situation where, like, look, man, we just find a way for us to sell you Roman versus Seth Rollins because that's the big money match?
I think Seth and Roman could kind of wait, because you bring up Sami Zayn and it just takes me back. Ooh, sensitive subject, 2013. We waited and waited for Daniel Bryan to get his moment, and he beat John Cena clean, only for Randy Orton to cash in. And
right, it's a sensitive subject.
Yeah, the Solo and Jacob story told me that they will recycle a story very, very quickly, because that's Bailey and Io, clearly. But you just imagine Seth Rollins cashing in on Sami Zayn as soon as he wins. The heat he'll draw, because Seth Rollins, he has that challenge of having a great song.
Yeah.
So imagine that.
I didn't even think about that. That's the part that's throwing me off. Like, man, can you imagine that? Sammy climbs that mountain and beats Gunther one more time, and everybody goes crazy for that one. And then all of a sudden, Seth Rollins. Oh, that's a disaster waiting to happen. Oof.
That's terrible, because everybody's gonna be like, oh my gosh, we didn't see it coming.
That's insane. But I can see, like I said, I Sami Zayn's modern day Mick Foley, so I can see that happening. But how'd you feel, brother guy, about, like you said, Seth Rollins? I know you kind of went into it already, but is this the right move? Was this? I got a special question for Brother Hugh, because he kind of tapped on it, so I'm gonna wait. But was this the move for Seth Rollins? Is he the right guy to carry this latest accolade in his Hall of Fame career?
So it's crazy. I look at the Money in the Bank and the King of the Ring like this: if the wrestler could still get the title without it, why give it to him?
Sure.
If he could literally be named the number one contender tomorrow, or he can just be named as the challenger, why give it to him? And there was other people in that match that can't have that same ability. That's why I was against it at first, but then I sat back and thought, I was like, Roman needs to be the thorn in his side. How many times has Seth been the thorn in Roman's side?
True.
Roman's got to be on the other end of this now to tell the story. Like, I really feel like every time he go cash in, Roman needs to stop it. Roman needs to be the thorn to stop him from doing it. Even taking the briefcase from him, like, you ain't cashing tonight. Nope, you're never going to get close to that title. But I feel like, and that's why I initially said he could be. Who wouldn't want to see Seth Rollins in the main event of SummerSlam, main event of any pay per view? We
True.
know he can. So why give him something that he's already guaranteed that spot anyway?
And he's also a credible threat, you know what I mean? So, like, him having it, you're like, Seth Rollins. First of all, Seth Rollins is nuts. Like, so at any point in time, who knows what he's up to? He's a psychopath. So him being as unpredictable as he is, you know what I mean? It seems like Seth Rollins is one of those guys that could have one of those moments, and he's got some serious muscle, and Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, and of course the manipulating manager himself, Paul dangerously, with this force faction they have. But like you said, Seth Rollins, you can't blink if Seth Rollins has this Money in the Bank briefcase. And I think that's the fun part about it. It's like, even if he doesn't do anything, you're always going to be guessing because of just how involved he is with everything that's going on. But Brother Hugh, I have a question for you, sir. You were the one that said this seems kind of predictable. Now, when we looked at the match card, it didn't look like a bunch of world champion contenders. And I mentioned this 2 weeks ago. I said, you can always tell what direction they're going to go in based off who's in the Money in the Bank briefcase ladder match, wherever they decide to do it, whether it's the pay-per-view or the PLE, known as Money in the Bank, or just the match itself. Now, we look at the other contestants in this match with Seth Rollins. from a main event standpoint, this looked kind of obvious. Now,
Mhm.
did you think that looking at this was kind of predictable? Did you kind of see it going in this direction, or you thought maybe Seth Rollins was there to kind of help put somebody else over in the process?
Nah, I saw the card and I was just like, look, I said this before. Seth Rollins was there to win it. Look at
Mm.
who else was in the
I think you
in the
did say that in
match.
the preview show.
Yeah, look who's in the match. Who else but Seth Rollins is going to win it? It makes sense for him to win it, especially where he is right now. As far as
Mhm.
like it's kind of like the Authority 2.0 when he had his Goonies before.
Right.
Now he has two bigger and badder Goonies right beside him to help him get to where he wants to be, and that's that undisputed WWE Championship, right? Right? Because I don't see him cashing in on that WAC again. To me,
Right.
I hate to say it, I don't want to be disrespectful to that title, but we all know that's the secondary title, secondary main title.
Ouch.
He's already been there and he's done that, right?
Mm-hmm.
In order to be the top dog, you gotta get that network championship and have it around your waist. So for me, it was very predictable. And Andrade, we knew he gonna go in there, he gonna do his thing. LA Knight, the people wanted him there. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
Penta,
please, let's be honest.
look,
Slim Jim
Penta,
wanted them there too, by the way.
yeah, exactly.
Slim
You
Jim
see what I'm
paid for
saying?
that
So, Penta,
on the
he had to
platter.
be in there. Let's be let's be real.
Yeah.
How was you going to have that match and not have Penta in it? He's one of
All
your
the
top.
people's champions.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then you had Grande Americano. He's great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's going to go in. He's going to produce. He's going to do what he does. You got Seth Rollins. He's the biggest star on there.
Yeah.
Why not? He needed
Yeah.
something. He needed something to help solidify that group that he has right now.
Yeah, because
Because
it looks forced. And that makes
it
any
was
sense.
kind of dry to me. I'm not gonna lie.
I still don't know what the purpose is. Like, I don't know what they like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think they watered down Bronson Reed being in this group, but that's, hey, I'm not the one booking the
That's
shows, but let's move
Yep.
on to a more positive standpoint. The women, huh? This is Brian H's girl. He's been an avid Naomi. She is respectfully putting on the best work of her career. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I hate to say it, well, not to hate to say it, but like, goodness gracious, like for somebody that freaking figured it out. You know what I mean? They kind of let her loose a little bit to kind of be in his spot right now, man. Naomi has been hitting on all cylinders. I remember years ago, we watched her on Total Divas. We just love Total Divas because anytime you can get backstage, for professional wrestling, didn't matter what way it was. We loved it. I love Total Divas. And she always talked about she struggled being a heel. She was always trying to figure out what's the next thing she can do. This is because she didn't want to get left behind. She was ambitious. She wanted to work. And, they even pitched the love angle and Big Jim won for it. But she kept saying, I'm struggling being a heel. It's forced. I'm like, this me being this tough girl, this bad girl is not me. Like, I'm a cheerleader from Orlando, bro. This is not me. And to fast forward all this time later and to see her in this capacity, it's like, whoa. Like, what she's doing now is very believable. It's very relatable. We all know this girl somewhere. You know what I mean? We've been around females who've had to deal with females like her and this problem, who's just obsessive, yet angry and yet all these things. And, this whole proceed with caution thing, like, you know what? She's found something that is working for her and she's earned it, man. Well, I love Naomi and what she's done at this point.
You
But
heard Big E.
Yeah, Big E preached a sermon, had that girl in tears. And she was, and I'm gonna tell you how good she is. She was in a post interview, right? Post match, post PLA, and she was about to break character, and she had to catch herself and tell the crowd to shut up. Like, I don't want you to, I don't need your part, because she was having the moment. She started crying, and then she like took a deep breath and she just paused and like ate the rest of it. Said,
That's what
"All
we
y'all
do in the
shut up.
bloodline.
All y'all shut up. I don't need your applause. Don't cheer for me now." And everybody's like, "Ah, come on, just break character. Go ahead." But yeah, but it seems seemingly so having the most momentum and wrapped in money for her gear. I don't know if that's a Mercedes Monet thing.
No.
No?
Homage to Carmella. She even great mentioned it on Twitter.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah. All right. I respect that. Okay.
Yeah.
Mel. Oh, yeah, because she did used to wear the gear like that.
Mella did it the first one. She was
Mella
the
is
first
money.
one, and then the idiot made them rerun it again because
Yeah.
no chin.
Yeah, sure. That was your guy.
No, he
Championship
wasn't.
Wrestling. Anyways, so are we? I clearly, I think we're all happy that she won the Money in the Bank briefcase. I think sky's the limit for this. Who knows what she's doing? This is one of the situations I'm happy to guess about. I'm happy to see where this goes and what direction. Naomi, where do you guys see her challenging? Where do you see the next move as far as Naomi? What direction do you see her going in?
Waiting.
Really?
Waiting and waiting and waiting. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Waiting for Miss Bianca or Miss Jade to hold that title. You know.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's the money matchup.
Yeah. You know, I mean, could she cash in after what Queen of the Ring? The Queen of the Ring is determined at like that winner will face, you know, the champion of SummerSlam. Sure, but I think, you know, it's just so much she gonna do with that briefcase. We saw it last year with Tiffany, and you know, the longer you have it, the more you can sell it at the end of the day.
Bingo.
So,
yeah.
I just think she's gonna wait, and you know, who knows when Bianca will be able to wrestle again. Jade is still cooking. She's getting better every time she's in the ring.
In her own matches now, carrying
it.
it.
Yeah, and you know, whether it's, you know, we get a triple threat match of some sort or what have you, either way, I just think that, you know, I think it ultimately comes full circle with her really cashing in on Bianca. You know, it's so much fun to watch the story because it's like a Lita, Trish Stratus and Mickey James with some seasoning and without the star without the star. Yeah, with some seasoning.
Lowry's Old Bay.
But yeah, without the with some soul, that's what I should say. With some soul without the
with that seasoned salt
HLA figure to it. So that's what makes this so much fun because it's like she's trying to get Bianca to like her. She's trying to say, girl, remember when? And when that time comes, man, she gonna stab Bianca right in the heart.
She's gonna like love her to death. Like, we were supposed to be best friends.
Yeah.
If I can't have my best friend, nobody will.
Yeah.
That's just, I watch a lot of movies. Sorry. But yeah. I think Naomi's definitely the
boy, she knew how to pose too. If you look at the photos, like every chance, like she was waiting. Randy Orton talked about it when he won the Money in the Bank one time. No, when he won the ladder match when he beat Cena, he said the camera guys are so great that he knew when to strike the pose at the right time. You give it a little bit more. Like Triple H would always say, if you feel like you're walking slow, walk even slower. You know, and that's what we saw. You know, just a lot of the production. So
okay, all right.
I'm just waiting for the caution one. I'm waiting for the briefcase to be wrapped in caution tape.
So go ahead, brother guy. Now I can say, just we got a design in the room. So you waiting for this briefcase to be wrapped in caution tape.
Yeah, because she's gonna lean into that gimmick so much that it's gonna be. I feel like she's gonna be less wrestling and more. I don't want to say lurking because that sounds like a creepy term, but you know how she always be like, "You don't forget, you better proceed with caution," because that's her gimmick, and she showed us what's inside of it for a reason, and she's been a social media. I don't want to say troll, but she's been a guru. She's been firing back with every time somebody posts something, it's just like, wow. Like Naomi is definitely making you pay attention to her. So I think I'm more vested in her outside of the ring because we know what she can do in the ring. But now she's showing us a whole new thing. So why not have that caution tape and have her walking through the airport with it? Because you know she is. Her going on a tour, and like, I'm not going over to the fans. I just want to walk through. You know what I mean? Like showing up where the champion is, just standing there watching them. You know what I mean? Like I feel like she could do that because she already told Tiffany, "You was in my way when I was trying to get the belt last time." And I'm like, okay, she remembers. Tiffany was there supporting her plans every time she had a title shot. So I can see her just standing in the background with it. So
telling everybody
it's gonna be some good stuff. Caution. I hate they put Cash App right there, biggest day. Dang on marketing.
They really put, that's really crazy. They got the Cash App logo on the Money in the Bank briefcase. We're going too far with this.
Every frame.
bro. I don't want to hear nothing about nobody being broke or not enough money or debt or anything. As many advertising logos I keep saying all over the place. You're gonna start seeing little ring rope straps like you see in boxing with like Wheatley's Vodka American stuff on it. But
Bro, you saw the fireball ladder?
yes,
Yeah,
it's
that was a
About
ridiculous.
lot.
to say, yeah, you saw that.
I said they putting vinyl creases everywhere. Next
They
is gonna
said
be
no.
wrapped around a microphone. Watch,
We
something gonna be
we
wrapped
paid
around the microphone.
we paid $450,000 for those ladders to be wrapped. You better buy that fireball. Now the man
Don't mind if I
who's
do.
the man who stole the show. Something unexpected. Goodness gracious, brothers. The voice of the people. Let's get into the meat and potatoes. Let's wrap this up. Ron
Yes.
Killens, R-Truth, made a triumphant return at Money in the Bank. Man, man, this was the moment. R-Truth returning, showing up, letting his presence be known. He comes in. First of all, you talk about the main event. Brother Guy doesn't like it. He said he doesn't like the throwaway tag matches. I don't mind it. It's because they're great PLE main event fillers. You know what I mean? You know, it's to me, it's kind of old school. See, back in the day, you probably could have did this main event like you probably could have did this for like an entire year, because it was maybe back in the 70s, early 80s. Is because there was not a lot of televised things. So you could have did this for an entire year. You know, you talk about feuds like, oh yeah, me and Greg DeHam Valentine, we did the same match for a year straight. It's because nobody saw it in a year straight. It wasn't even national television. It was all localized,
Bingo.
right? So you can go from city to city to city and do the same match and tell the same story. You know, maybe switch it up as much as you want, but you know what I mean? The match to me was fun. And I think that, like brother, you said, that's all it was meant to be. You know what I mean? You can tell it wasn't meant to have any like long-standing implications to it, right? Which is why
And
the
the
guy
tired Jay Uso out. So
That
that
too.
it makes the adds to the story of
Yep.
him and Gunther.
Yeah, like because Jay Uso got up after the match with him and Gunther. Let's just put him up there for a second. He made it clear, like, look, man, that he's one of the baddest motherfuckers in the world. I'm tired, man. Like, I got nothing but respect for him. I did what I could, man. He's a lot to deal with. Like, you know what I mean? And like Brian said, man, you're not going to feel bad for Jay. You're like, yeah, I kind of get it, man. You've been on a roll. We watched what you went through the other night. So it makes sense to lose. It's like, all right, well, it's no shame loser. He's a human being. Like, what was he going to do? You know what I mean? So when you look at
They showed
that,
us too. They showed us that he got this done last week. He got this done last week. He had this on Saturday.
that's
I
another
was
thing. Like
they beat it into your head. He ain't been getting beat up.
Yeah, they go out of their way, like you said, brother guy, to let people know. Like, and you're like, I guess you guys got a point. So if he loses, you're like, well, god dang it, what the thing was going to happen? Gunther's is a lot of man to deal with. So it doesn't surprise me that I don't think that main event was meant to be overshadowed by the return of R-Truth, but I think it was set up to be overshadowed by the return of R-Truth. We saw a much edgier R-Truth. R-Truth returned. He didn't return in such a happy-go-lucky state like we're used to seeing R-Truth, right? But he came up and he looked like he meant business. It looked like he meant business real bad, right? So let's talk about it. Last week we spent the entire show talking about why nothing about this whole situation made any sense. We went into nausea while Realness was on the road, talking about why there was no reason for him to be cut. And we literally looked at every possible speculation, every possible situation, every possible reason as to why nothing about him being released made any sense, which was confirmed on Saturday at Money in the Bank. When we got him back, he returned, he took out John Cena, and he got out of there. First of all, let's talk about the moment that what I need some PLE day stories. Where was everybody when where were you watching? What were you doing when this all went down? Because was you watching the main event? I'm gonna tell you right now, I didn't expect it to happen this soon. I expected like SummerSlam, maybe. You know what I mean? If it's so, you know, but I knew something was suspicious because it had been about a week and the fans were looking for truth all week. I didn't think it was as strong as it has had to be in the past. Like with the Yes movement, we had to fight a little hard for that. But this happened really, really quickly. So when he showed up, I was surprised. I knew who it was immediately. But I was like, oh wait, here it is. There it is. I called it. And I froze in excitement. It's because I knew what was happening, but I was kind of shocked that it happened so fast. So let's start from the beginning. Because like I said, we're going to take this home because everybody wants to know. the $1 million question. What's going on? Is this our truth or is it Raw and the Truth Killings? Was this a work or was this a shoot? Let's start at the very beginning. Go ahead, Brian H.
Saturday, man, it was one of them Saturdays I was sitting there and I told my daughter, I said, look, we're gonna hang out. So by the time we went to my parents' house and we watched, her and my dad actually watched the Women's Money Bank. So by the time I got back home, I'm settled finally for the the main event. And I was actually playing, I've been in nostalgia mode. So I was actually playing like NBA Live 08 on PlayStation.
Oh, that's real nostalgia.
Yeah. So I'm sitting there playing and I'm looking at the match. And I didn't think he was coming back. So I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna watch this match, enjoy it, see what happens. Right.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, I see somebody getting in the ring. I said, oh, wait, I know that who I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, I was like, oh, yeah. And the first thing I thought about was what you said last week.
See?
What if we put out the outcry enough? And like you said, the Daniel Bryan thing, it happened sooner. But let's not kid ourselves. Let's not kid ourselves at all. Daniel Bryan happened, and he was nowhere near as beloved as R-Truth. He was still Bryan Danielson. Yeah. Vince McMahon just realized, okay, I got to make this move. And I will say this, and I'm always say this wouldn't have happened if Vince was there, because Vince understood the value of R-Truth in the locker room. And Paul Levesque had to say, my bad, but he had the little smirk on his face. You enjoyed the show?
No, yeah, he did. He just couldn't admit it, could it? All a part of the show. Lies, Tripster. We got you.
Couldn't admit it. And did you hear what the coach said, though?
I don't trust him either, though. No disrespect.
You don't?
Sour grapes. No. Angry black man, bro. Come on, now get out the media. You can't do that.
I'll say this. This is what I'll say.
Go ahead. What you got?
Man, you got people backstage on payroll these days. You can't get people that unfortunately in wrestling, nobody shuts up.
Well,
so I can see people like SRS, paying people back. Because you would always think, like, why would somebody jeopardize their job by telling people what's going on, right?
Sure.
But then if we have a real moment, right? You imagine I'm gonna just throw a number out there. You imagine you making $120,000 a year to write, and you constantly get yelled at and all this other stuff, right?
Yeah.
But meanwhile, you're writing for somebody who's making $13-14 million a year.
Well,
you might take a couple extra dollars, but take a grain of salt or not. Either way, with my eyes, what I saw was Triple H had a chance to have it to do right and say, we made a mistake, and he chose not to. That's what I say. What I saw with my eyes.
Okay, gotcha. So you saying he's ducking smoke? He didn't take accountability for looks, man. All right.
If it's a story,
right?
Even if it's a story, Vince McMahon did it in the story with the pipe bomb with CM Punk. Even though that whole thing was quote unquote booked, right? Let's just say it was booked. Yep. Vince McMahon, he humbled himself as he was trying to get Punk to stay, and then when he was bringing CM Punk back on screen,
he would openly admit that. That's true. Because he did the same thing with like Cody Rhodes later on down the line. Like, look, no, we didn't. Or like I said, AJ Styles. I wish I didn't really think you were that good, but then it goes, no, I wish I would have signed you 10 years ago. So, I respect
the Good Brothers, though. I will agree with you on that.
See,
now you always said it.
I spent the whole show not being angry, and here you go.
You love the Good Brothers more now than you did when you told me that.
My boys, two sweets.
Yeah.
It's all good. That's all right. I'm not worried. Trust me, I'm gonna do.
Look, you shouldn't be angry. You know why? Because the Sparks won, the Orioles won, the Lynx lost, and the wrestling fan won tonight. Tyrese Halliburton.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. You brought me back down. All right. Brother Hugh, talk to us. Where were you when this happened? Like I said, we spent the entire show. We were supposed to do a Money in the Bank preview show, and it really just became into a why the heck did R-Truth get cut show. And I think a lot of people responded well to it. We literally, I'm telling you, it was one of the best shows we did. We literally went through every scenario possible where you could justify it. And I just couldn't live with making any excuse like nothing about this makes any sense. And it sounds like, according to everything that's been going on, like I said, even his son, he spoke out and said, "Nah, Cap, that's not true." Here's the rift. Here's the story, Brother Hugh. They saying that it was a mathematical decision. It was under pressure. It was a numbers thing, and he just, you know what I mean. He made a numbers call, and it backfired really, really bad. Which made no sense, is because you're cutting somebody that was a part of the show. I get somebody that's not a part of the show as much. You know, the Sarah Logans, no disrespect, the Carlitos. I'm not surprised. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying you should have cut them. I'm saying I'm not surprised by them, because these are people that weren't really being used. You know what I mean? And like I said, think about the business of it all, where they're cutting down on house shows and stuff like that. I'm like, all right, well, I don't like it, but it doesn't. I'm not surprised by it. Not somebody fresh off a PLE. Somebody has a selling out a t-shirt. Somebody that's beloved by everybody backstage, in front of the camera, behind the camera, and then because he's making a little bit more, like, no, that means he's worth his weight in gold. Roman Reigns wrestles 3 times a year, but you pay him $30 million to breathe, because he's worth $30 million to breathe, because of them 2 shows gonna make $150 million in 2 days. You see what I'm saying? Like, the value stands on its own. That's not something we were used to. Now,
They don't want to pay him.
well, R-Truth, that bit 10. R-Truth pops back up. Where were you, Brother Hugh, when this went down? Were you surprised? Were you happy? Were you shocked?
I was actually on my way back from a win. You know, Baltimore Nighthawks, they did their thing.
Hey,
Yeah,
5-0
boy.
on the season.
Baltimore.
We clinched our playoff spot, home field advantage. But
Yeah, boy. Rocking and rolling.
came back home and actually caught the match before that, and then this match, which was the ladder match, and then this match.
Mhm.
I saw somebody get in the ring, and the first thing I noticed was black ankles. Right? So I was like, hold up. I said, hold up.
Only Brother Hugh in that way.
They brought him back. And the first thing I said, I put it in the daggone chat. I said, brother realness, you were right.
See?
I was like, you were right. What had me skeptical was when they did this whole, oh yeah, I got released thing. Road Dogg, he came out, he said what he said, and then he deleted his message. So I was like, hold up. What? Why you delete it?
Mm-hmm.
So I knew something was up after that. And then we did the show. Brother Dwayne went off, and I was like, man, hey, there's got to be a work. There's got to be a work. Well, look,
right
at this point, I don't care if it was a work.
Mm-hmm.
If we really brought him back, whatever, we have him back. That's all I care about. And like I said before, we have a serious Ron Killings here in the WWE. Yo, I say give him the strap. It don't have to be that long.
So you already trying to give him trying to give him a shot at the title.
Why not? Why not?
Okay.
What, yeah. Make him be the one that turns John Cena back babyface, because I feel like that's what the people gonna want anyway. Because John Cena's running as a heel is
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is it not? It's not working when you got a new T-shirt in every city that sells out. Like, come on.
And belts. Don't forget the belts. Right.
I've never seen that. You can tell they don't have a middleman anymore. They just cranking out belts like it ain't nothing. Like, we're gonna go to every city and create a new replica per the color of the city. So you want Ron the Truth Killings to be a heel? It's not gonna work either.
No, it's not. It's not. But that's why I said why he's over. Go ahead and give it to him. Find a way to put it in there creatively and have him win it, and you can figure out the rest later. Why he's hot. Because like you said, there's no way you got somebody that hot right now, that over, and you don't capitalize on it.
Yeah, that's just stupid.
That's a popular opinion.
He needs the belt for maybe 2 weeks because you need time to talk about it. I told Brandon this. I said, look, you can give it to him for a day, but then I was like, hold up, you got to have people talk about it. So give it to him for 2 weeks, maybe a month, and that's it. That's all we need. You can figure out the rest from there.
Yeah, look, they couldn't figure out The Rock getting to WrestleMania, so they can figure something out. They can move on the fly.
Absolutely.
Brother Guy, where were you when Ron the Truth Killings made his triumphant return back to a WWE ring? Was it something you expected? Now, you're a TNA guy. NWA, TNA. Ron the Truth Killings. That was Angry Black Man. Remember those promos? We're going to talk about that in a second. But before we get into the difference between Ron the Truth Killings and our truth, because the world may not be familiar, but of course we've been around long enough to explain to the people. Where were you when you were you excited when our truth made his return to WWE? Were you expecting it to be so soon at Money in the Bank, or what were you thinking? Like I said, mind you, we were fresh off a show. I keep saying it's over and over again. We were fresh off a show, good and angry, trying to make sense of something that did not make any sense at all. So how did you feel knowing that, hey, we were like, wait a minute, here he is. Ron the Truth Killings has made his way back to WWE this fast. According to the world, the fans brought him back. He said, y'all brought it back. Don't ever think you don't make a difference. You all brought me back. Don't let it, don't get it twisted in any way, shape, or form. This is 100% something that you did. His son was on social media saying, congrats, dad, on the new deal. One last run. I was like, oh my goodness, I think this is real. Like, I was hoping it was a work, but they really cut Ron Truth Killer. How do you feel, brother guy? Where were you when he made his triumphant return?
I was actually at an event, and how I found out was
Partying.
via I saw the text message. I was like, wait a minute, what? So of course I go to good old faithful Twitter, and I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't think it was going to happen this fast because I was in total agreement with you when you said, how do you come off all of this being the number one sale? And I even said, how do we not have a space in WWE for our truth? So,
Right.
and I think they realized that we do have a space for him because let's rethink this. How can we capitalize? And they're capitalizing. So I don't think we're ever going to know the truth. I think in the Triple H way of doing things, we're never going to know. And I'm not going to say kayfabe, work or shoot. We don't know what's real and what's fake. All we know is what he said. Are you enjoying the show? Because even if he tells us, yeah, I called him, but then there's things Nick Khan called him. So we don't. It's so much stories out there. You're like, I don't know what to believe anymore. I was happy that the man got his job back. I'll be happier in 6 months to see if we're still celebrating him, or was this just a think about it? Triple H took over the reins. We saw a lot of people get their job back. Now we've seen a
True.
lot of people exit. We were so happy to see Karrion Cross back. Okay, we'll give him another chance. AOP, oh yeah, give them another chance. They didn't have it. But maybe it wasn't space for them when we were celebrating these people coming back because as much as I like Tegan Knox, I was like, why did she come back? She can't fight Dakota Kai forever. I was like, why would you bring her
No.
back? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was one of those things like, no, I don't ever want somebody to lose their job, but I think the WWE is a place for him. But now, since we've getting the evolution of our truth, I'm more intrigued to see what's going to happen and why did it take so long to get this going. And when he cut that promo, it gave me pipe bomb feels, but it also gave me that Paul Heyman promo when he said, Vince told him, just go out there and make money. Go out there and speak for, say what you're going to say. He said, you don't want to know what I'm going to say? No, I don't think that was scripted. I think they said, go say whatever you want. And it came from a feeling of, I don't want to sound like militant, like black power, but it also came from a place of, we in this together. It became an inclusion thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I like so much about it. He said he included everybody. It wasn't just, hey y'all, I'm back because I'm black. No, I'm back because of y'all. So it was definitely inclusion, and I really appreciated that. And I'm interested to see, okay, is it just a fad? Are we going to Royal Rumble? Are we still gonna be talking about this? Because there's another new toy that the internet is clamoring over, and that's the Mistake Warner. And we didn't forgot about Joe Hendry that quick. You know what I mean? It's like, nope, we don't care about you.
Dang.
You're okay. So that's my take on it. I'm happy he's back. Or was he ever really gone?
That's like one of those
really put down Joe Hendry. Average
Wow.
Joe.
D Willie, Drew Willingham. Shout out to Drew Willingham from Satoa Media. That's our good brother in the wrestling realm.
The struggle is real to be awesome.
The struggle is definitely real, truly real to be awesome. But yes, man, man, it's almost like folklore at this point. That's the $1 million question. And it seems like nobody cares about it. Was this a work or was this real? Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I was running the wrestling business, I would do all that stuff and convince the world that it was real too, because that's what I would do to convince the world that it was real. Now, doesn't mean it wasn't. But if I was trying to work the audience, that's what I would do. Now, we're talking about our truth. Our truth We had his moments. He single-handed. I was about to hate WWE. I'm not gonna lie to you. We have been ranked over the last 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 or 6, I can't remember. Almost every year straight, top 15 in the top ranked of WWE podcasts. We never consider ourselves necessarily a WWE podcast, but that's majority of what we talk about. We have been there. I forgot. It's been a couple of podcasts award. We won a few awards, not to be bragging or patting ourselves on the back. So we have been historically known, for being one of the top 15. I don't think we've ever dropped anything lower than 15 as far as top WWE podcasts ranked on some of these websites that we, have been awarded these things graciously. And I was that close to hating WWE. I was like, uh-oh, I'm getting 2015 vibes, because 2015 was historically the year I went on my global tour to discover the rest of the world of professional wrestling in 2015. And I felt myself going there, and I was like, oh, this is great. I don't have to hate the product anymore. Because, I already protest tag team wrestling. Tag team wrestling is trash in WWE if your name is not Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. They're my two favorite. And my second favorite tag team is the Creed brothers. They're better than half the guys on the roster, by the way.
Talk about it.
They're really good.
I'm telling you, and they're really young. So, and they have personalities. Like, I know who each one of those guys. Like, that's the biggest thing. If I care about your personalities while you're in a tag team, I'm not going to spiel on that. So you guys are giving me a change of subject. R-Truth, he returned. He showed up the following Monday on Monday Night Raw, and he said a few things, and you could tell he was giving a speech from the heart. Excuse me. He said, I'm not a sideshow act. I'm not a gimmick. And Michael Cole was just sitting there like on some fight the power stuff. He wanted to applaud mid-sentence, like mid-speech. And he, like, you got to look over and watch the clip. You see Michael Cole like, preach, R-Truth, preach. He said, let me tell you something. I'm not a gimmick. I'm not a joke. And then he starts talking about R-Truth. He goes, I love R-Truth, right? He said, but sometimes R-Truth is off. Sometimes R-Truth doesn't always have it together. He could be too nice, too forgiving, but I'm not, because I'm Ron the Truth Killings, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. We have not seen the Ron the Truth Killings gimmick ever in WWE. We have seen shades of it, right? We've seen, remnants of what we knew as Ron the Truth Killings, right? But we haven't seen it full blown. And we're going to talk about those moments because we're going to wrap this up so we can talk about the differences between R-Truth and Ron the Truth Killings. R-Truth has had a history of having a split personality, and it seems like we're starting to get glimpses of that starting to come back, right? During his before Little Jimmy became popular, R-Truth decided he wasn't going to be a good R-Truth anymore. And he got tired for the same reasons. He got tired of coming out singing and dancing. And, he started beef with John Morrison. He started having a different attitude, right? And he began to hear these voices, no pun intended, Randy Orton, his head. And there was a separation. And that was all in our minds as wrestling fans, tongue in cheek. We always thought that was the ghost of Ron the Truth Killings, is because Ron the Truth Killings is a very athletic and militant black professional wrestler that has fought to scratch and claw to scrape and carve his niche in the game of professional wrestling. That's who Ron the Truth Killings. He's the whole truth, nothing but the truth. The truth shall set you free. R-Truth, Ron the Truth Killings, cut his dreads on Monday Night Raw, and he kind of shed his old skin and kind of gave birth to a new skin. Now, we don't know what that is quite yet, but we're going to discuss it because this is how we're going to close the show out. So, good brothers, we've seen R-Truth. We've seen Ron the Truth Killings. What can we expect? What is the difference between who R-Truth is and who Ron the Truth Killings is in a WWE audience? Who wants to go first? Who wants to talk about the history of Ron the Truth Killings, what he's done, where he's been, former NWA World Champion, versus what we saw in early 2008 when he joined WWE? Don't be shy. Nobody would start. Listen,
so
okay.
You mentioned NWA, so that sounds like something for Brother Brandon. Let's do go to the bus.
Does anybody?
And then he got low. He said,
Does
so
anybody?
I'll say this: Ron the Truth Killings. And here's the thing that people don't understand: TNA was still in their NWA TNA time frame. If you trace the lineage back at the NWA World Heavyweight Championship at the time, that was the original World Championship. WWE Championship wasn't thought of until 1963. So the lineage of that dated all the way back to 1908, I think.
George
Uh,
Hackenschmidt.
yeah, and when they were combining certain belts to say, you know what, here are the territories, whatever it may be, right?
Mhm.
So Ron the True Killings in his militant mind had to do something to say, and this is take you back to TNA. His character was, I'm here, I can wrestle. I was held back because I'm black. You're
Mhm.
not going to deny me of that championship because nobody like me, nobody that looks like me, and nobody that can do what I can do has been that champion, which is older than the largest company in the world I just left.
Mhm.
Because remember, K Quick was a thing. Um,
You're getting
and
rowdy.
so
Who I hated,
yeah,
by the
so
way.
yeah. So he was trying to shed the skin and show people I'm not a joke. I'm
Yep.
more than a rapper. I have some grits in me. I don't have to fit this mold, but you can't deny when the bell rings. And that's the one
Even
thing
though he
you
came down there rapping, which is kind of
yeah, even though
counterproductive.
you get in there rapping
And don't forget
and
his
with the
dance.
pants segment, yeah, exactly. The pop locking and everything. But once the bell ring, what's the major difference in him and anybody else? So he made sure they known it was the skin I'm in.
Yep.
So being the first, and that's what we don't really celebrate, the first NWA Black World Champion
That's not true. We're not counting
to,
Bobo Brazil.
on the books
Okay.
in the NWA TNA banner, a
That's just
two-time at
racist for
that.
you to even say that. It's so racist.
I'm just
On
saying,
the
but
books.
it's
It's terrible. The
on the
world we
books
live in.
because it's not like,
We never
yes, we
acknowledged
know
it.
who the first was,
Yeah.
but it's because if it wasn't for our truth, we wouldn't even be talking about that conversation. It would have got left to the wayside. So what people don't understand is like, yes, he did that and he proved it. Now he was a lot more not PG. He was definitely much
Yeah.
more
It
in
was.
your face, and he was definitely wrong with it. And
Yeah.
he was saying the things that we were all thinking, but he turned it up to level 10.
Mhm.
And he proved it. And don't get me wrong, TNA needed something like that because they were trying to get you vested in that character.
Yeah.
And
They were
people can
trying to be
call
very
TNA
different.
the land of misfit toys,
Misfit
whatever you
toys.
want to
Yep.
call it, the reject. But it
Especially during
was
that time
literally,
period.
we got to make a name for ourselves.
Right.
And what better way to make a name for yourself than, oh, this guy kind of have a point? Because a lot of his points, if you take the emotion out, he wasn't saying the wrong things.
No.
So people don't understand who Ron the Truth Killing is. Um, and I'm surprised they even put killing on a shirt or something. It said, what is it? One of the shirts said killing something. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
that's
it
a little
definitely did. It say
risky.
something like killing something or he said something
Killing
with killing.
spree or something.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
I was like, oh, okay. They leaning all the way into the point that's like, okay, we're going there. I
Put
don't
some
think we're ever
respect
going
on
to
my
get
name.
that. Right. Let me shut up. You're not going to get that TNA version, but you might get a contender. So
Okay.
that's my major thing with Ron, the Truth Killings.
All right. So we have the origin of Ron the Truth Killings. And like I said, he was a huge indie star, huge TNA guy. He had a very signature look. I was never a fan of his early on because I couldn't stand him as K Quick. I'm gonna tell you the why. I'm gonna tell you the exact reason why I was not a fan of K Quick in WWE is because he broke up the New Age Outlaws and Road Dogg changed. You know, this is mind you. You got to remember childhood realness. I don't like change. Don't switch anything up. Don't cut anybody. Don't cut your hair. Don't do nothing. I got an attitude. I stopped liking Billy Gunn when he became the one Billy guy. I said, what are you doing? I don't like you anymore. Don't do anything different. Right? Hated his guts. I said, bro, put
You
back
didn't
on the
like the
white
one?
boots.
One
No.
and only.
Put back the white boots on. Put the Kiss Prince, the pink, the hot pink, green,
Brother
blue,
Hugh was
whatever.
mad too because he was definitely Mr. Ass.
Bro, he changed everything. Like he changed his boots. I said, bro, what are we doing? Stop trying to be serious. So when Road Dogg came out, we getting rowdy. Wearing baggy pants and the both. You remember the BOFF baseball jerseys? We used to get at Alco's. You go to Alco's and get that jersey. Like, bro, we might have had one. I'm not gonna hold you. I was like, bro, what is Road Dogg doing? Coming down there rapping?
They was definitely wearing Alco's clothes.
That's what I'm trying to say. Coming down rapping. I said, bro, what is this? No, he's not the DLW. You getting rowdy? I said, bro, who's out? First of all, who's this black dude? He's pissing me off. So when he got cut, I was happy. I said, good riddance to you, K Quick, because he shouldn't have changed Road Dogg's outfit.
Because he definitely just showed up.
Yeah,
He
he
I-
did.
just
Yeah,
randomly, just all of a sudden, Road Dogg Jesse James comes out with this dude. We just rowdy. I say, bro, what? Where's Billy Gunn? Like, what is going on? I was not a
like why
fan.
did you trade one partner for another? You
So,
had a perfectly fine partner right there.
so when he gets cut, bingo, he gets cut. And I was like, thank God, bye. Then he pops up with TNA. I'm like, what is he doing in here? Look at K Quick, still in here looking crazy, still dancing and rapping. But he will be in TNA like fussing and angry black man, but then start dancing and rapping. I'm like, bro, this is counterproductive. Like you shucking and jiving right now after just saying you trying to fight stereotypes. But anyway, that's that we saw the origin of Ron, and I hated him when he was in 3 Live Crew. Him, Conan, and Road Dogg. Hated 3 Live Crew. They were so corny in TNA.
Oh my
Not
god,
one,
yes.
not two, but 3 Live Crew. Lord of mercy. I was like, bro, what are y'all doing? This is dumb. So I hated him then. He doesn't get used in TNA. He shows up in WWE, and then he comes out rapping "What's up?" and Vince shows, and I was like, "Ah, crap!" Now, like Ron the Truth killing. He's like, "Oh, he's our truth now," and I was like, "Okay, I kind of get it." And I do not know why, but I just became it's just the presentation. I became a huge fan of our truth in WWE. So let's look at the first time he kind of loses his nugget when he turns heel. He decides. It seems like he's having this kind of psychiatric episode where he's having this kind of duality, maybe not a split personality, but then eventually became like a split personality, right? This duality within himself, where our truth began to be like, I'm going to be a good our truth. Like this kind of this attitude of I'm done playing by the rules. This is
all his southern accent.
yeah,
Right.
he's just like it was starting to drive him crazy. And he was a heel for like a hot second. And he even had his match with John Cena at Capitol Punishment. You look at R-Truth trying to break through to the main event scene, right? And then I promise you, not too long after that, R-Truth went back to being a face again because, like I said, he did the little Jimmy gimmick with Christian. He was talking about, and then he goes, "Little Jimmy." Remember the face off he had in the ring with Randy Orton, Christian, and R-Truth, and then all of a sudden he became a face again because it was almost a joke. And I'm like, dang it. We was about to get him in the main event scene for real this time, and then he just became another.
And he was because him and Cena, him and Miz main evented some Survivor Series with The Rock and Cena. But by the time we got to WrestleMania, that's when he faced. So he had about a 6 to 8 month run.
And then he got suspended because he failed a drug test. He was smoking synthetic weed. And it was like it was controversial because it was like, well, this isn't real. It's not like real weed. So it's like it shouldn't be. There was this gray area about what was accepted and what was not accepted at that time. Remember, he got sent home. So that derailed the first run with him and the Miz. You know what I mean? When that was hot. You know what I mean? Like you said. So it's like, okay, cool. We started to see signs of a more serious R-Truth that could potentially get him to the upper echelon where we would see what this version of Ron the Truth Killings. Fast forward 15, 20 years later, however long it's been. I know he's only been there for like 17 years.
14.
Fast forward 14 years. Fast forward, right? Here we are now. And it's like after all this time, we're getting as close to we possibly can to what we remembered as Ron the Truth Killings. The Suntan Superman Run Killings. Suntan Superman Run Killings. You got to say it the way he says it. What can we expect from this version of Ron the Truth Killings at this point in his career on the back end? This is his last run. He's 55 years old. What can we expect from him at this point, right? What haven't we seen from him? What role can he play? Can he be a bad guy? He cut the promo. He said it. I'm setting the table for dinner. He said, listen, I feel different. I feel alive. No one's going to disrespect me now. And I'm like, uh-oh. We're getting the edgier R-Truth, but I can't tell if he's angry. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? I don't know what to think. I remember previous Ron Killings, but that was so long ago. And here we are now. What can we expect from this version of Ron the Truth Killings?
Well, I'm with Brother Hugh when he said earlier, you strike while the iron is hot. I'd have to take the title from Cena, even if it's a quick bet. Because
so you on this world championship run with Brother Hugh, huh? Already.
Run is a strong word.
Okay. Fair enough.
But I do a quick hot shot because right now it seems more interesting to see him with it than CM Punk.
Okay, wait a minute now. What are y'all
Right,
talking?
just right now, like you know, sometimes ultimately there can be longer term plans, but like when you think about what our truth, with Ron Killings, first of all, he comes back and attacks Cena. Why? You know what I mean? He got fired, quote unquote. But before he got fired, his last thing was with JC Mateo and Solo. He ain't
Right.
come back to attack them because why? That wouldn't have made no. It would have been like, who cares? I mean, we would have been happy he'd been back, but it wouldn't have had a ready-made story.
John
He
Cena was
beat
the
him.
last one to disrespect him. He put him
That's what I
through
was
a
going to say.
table.
Well, yeah, to really disrespect him, right?
Mhm.
And so it hit that point home because it's like, oh, you know what? I was nice and I was trying to. He was trying to have a good wrestling match, but what did he
Mhm.
do? He got cheated.
Yep.
So
Yep.
because he got cheated and cheated out of the world championship, now he gets to get back. You know, like I said, get a quick world title run. But I think you, like you said earlier, you're not gonna make him a heel.
You
But
can't.
I think he'll be that serious face that's like that take no ish type face. Kind of
Mm.
like, this is blasphemy, but how Roman's current face run is. Roman's a face, but at the same time, he's not walking around shaking hands and kissing babies.
It's kind of an anti-hero.
Yeah, only thing he's doing is just pumping up the crowd with the ooh, that's it. And our truth could do the same thing.
With the ooh,
Yeah.
his fans with the ooh, Okay. All right. What about you, brother Hugh? What are you expecting from this
Well,
version of our truth? You said world title. Brian A
mhm.
says world title. Like this is that the next move? Are we talking world title run for our truth? Ron the Truth Killings?
Yeah, I think 100%. Yeah, give it to him. Like you can even see John Cena only has a couple dates left, so you can't really prolong it too long. You know what I'm saying? But I would say within the next month or so, go ahead and give it to him. Why not? But
Okay.
my first
Mhm.
thought was when he
Yeah.
came back, he cut his hair, he did all that stuff. Well, actually, when he first came back, and I saw the look on his face, and I was like, oh boy, he's different. The first thing
Yeah.
I thought,
Yep.
well, I remember talking to Brandon about it. I said, look, do you think the people are going to accept this Ron Killings, or
Yeah.
this art truth, Ron Killings? Because if you think about it, a lot of these people, they probably don't even know, that part of Ron Killings.
I know
You know
they
what I'm saying?
don't. They don't know half the stuff that
So
happened in WWE previously. So I know nothing outside of this.
exactly. They're used to the old goofy, comedian, like whatever. But
Mhm.
I don't know if they're gonna be ready for that.
Mm.
So I feel like in order for it to work, he has to go back and forth with it. He can be funny, but then he gets serious. And you know what I'm saying? And really, he can't just go full blown serious.
He's done that before.
Exactly. He's
Yeah.
gonna have to be the best of both worlds. So if that's the plan, then it could work. But I feel like if
Okay.
he goes straight serious, some of these fans might not stick behind him
Mhm.
because they're so used to seeing Goofy R Truth.
Making people smile.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Exactly. So that was my thing. I
Sure.
mean, I think it could get over for sure. But that was my major question when I first saw him come back. How would the fans really react to him being the newer version of R Truth, which is Ron
Right.
Killings?
Right. What
So I
about
guess
you,
we just
brother
gotta
guy?
wait and see.
Yeah, I mean that's ultimately what it's going to come down to at the end of the day. What about you, brother guy? Are you agreeing with world title run for Ron the Truth Killings? You know, maybe not a long one, but a one that's poignant.
So I'm gonna ask you this:
Mhm.
we always talk about Rey Mysterio being a WWE champion, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it
Okay,
counts.
it counts.
It
So
counts.
I'm in 100% agreement. There's nothing wrong with him getting it to prove this point because look what happened with Damian Priest when he lost the title. Look what happened to Drew McIntyre when he held the title for those few seconds.
Hmm.
That world title run that Damian Priest had for them few seconds
Yeah.
is more talked about than his WWE championship run because of these moments that's centered around it.
Ah,
So
shit.
now that he's back with all of this,
Hmm.
even if he has it for a day, a night, and I was talking to Hugh about this, we all remember that horrible pay-per-view that was here in Baltimore when Triple H won the title at the beginning of the night, that he lost it at the end. all we do is rank up another title win for him and Randy Orton. Yes, R-Truth can etch his name in history that he was a former NWA champion and a former WWE champion. It doesn't matter how long it was, because I think his first reign as the NWA champion was only what, like 45 days or something. It
Yeah,
was just to
it
that
was a hot
next.
second. It was
Yeah,
just
it
a
was.
proof a point.
Yeah, Ken Shamrock had it. He beat Shamrock, the shock factor. Get it on Jeff Jarrett. Who's got more? It was Jeff Jarrett, right?
Yeah.
I think it was Jeff. But why can't he be the one to take it off of him, and then Cena shakes his hand, and that's how we get him back to being that face. And then fatal four-way, multi-man match, whatever it may be, it goes to somebody else. It don't have to be a Cena get it back immediately. It doesn't have to be a whatever it may be. Let him give him that. And here's why: there's money being made with R-Truth. You
Mhm.
know the WWE is going to capitalize, but how much more would we celebrate him in his, as we might want to say, Hall of Fame career? Because
Yeah.
technically, you know he's
Hands
going
down. Yeah.
to have that in there and to have his name etched in stone for that. He's had that title too.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is,
Yeah, go
this
ahead.
could be opportunity, a major opportunity for him to build his own name too, because we don't know how long this contract is for.
True.
And say, I know he's what 55, but
Yeah.
say he does want to go and still wrestle somewhere else. I'm pretty sure
Or
he can't use the R-Truth name, right?
or
And
what if this is
it just-
his chance for his name to be R-Truth as WWE champion? Not, I mean, Roy Killings, and not R-Truth as WWE. Because people want to hear R-Truth and be like, that what? No.
Right.
This is Roy Killings, WWE champion.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. So like when he gets back to that scene, if he does go the indie scene route and the conventions and all that stuff, I'm pretty sure he's gonna have to go as Ron Killings.
Yeah, Ron the Truth Killings. Yep.
Yeah, right. So this could be a way. Look, why not give him the title? Former WWE champion Ron Killings.
There you go.
That adds a little bit more weight to his name.
True.
You see what I'm saying? And that'll, because like you just said, people want to see R-Truth. Can't use that moniker on that scene, right?
Yep.
But if you throw that Ron Killings name out there, oh, he's former WWE champion. Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
all right.
the big
Now
audience
he's
will know
credible.
Ron Killings.
And-
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the way I look at it too.
All I know is they must have paid him a pretty penny to cut his dreads on live TV.
Hey,
I ain't cutting my hair on live TV.
I think he was going to cut it regardless because he was already running away from him.
hey, bro. They
Yeah.
were
Cutting it on TV though,
they were
like
holding on.
that's a different type of diabolicalness.
It doesn't look so
No, that
bad.
made it.
Did you guys see a social media post? When he was
Yeah,
grabbed his, it doesn't look so bad now that he's got it cleaned up.
right.
Because I was like, we're gonna look at bald head R-Truth. He still got his designs in his hair, like how he gets it cut.
Walk around like that.
Yeah. Look, I feel
Like
you.
Kane said, he said to walk around like that.
Yeah,
But that's
weird.
according to him, that's how he used to cut his hair anyway. He had all those crazy hairstyles.
That's what I'm saying.
In the music industry and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you see all his old
Yeah.
photos. He's had them,
Yeah,
those
that's him.
designs. So it don't look out of pocket. You know what I mean?
No, not at all.
It don't look crazy. But I was like, okay, like when he first cut it, of course. But like when I saw it like clean cut, I was like, oh, okay, he don't look that much different, which is like, all right, I'm okay with it. But I don't know. I'm curious to see if we see a more serious. I don't know how you do this now. Is because what we missed was the fun, right? And like you guys said, now we're not going to get that. All of a sudden, this late in the game, he wants to have a gimmick change because he feels like I got to do something different because I was going along with this all this time, and because of that, y'all disrespected me. So now I'm gonna do things a little bit differently. But it's like, how much of a run is he really going to have at 55? Like, what direction do you go in with R-Truth? Triple H is clearly on board. It's because they took the picture together before they went out. He said, "You want, the social media post. You want Truth, you got it." And R-Truth, they were hugged up. We're in the back, like it's my dog. And I was like, okay, clearly it's no love loss. You know what I mean? Like, all right, business as usual. You know what I mean? And I was like, but what do you do now with him? He was somebody that was used in certain segments to fill in the gaps, and that was his role for so many years, and it worked. Now he's like, okay, cool. I'm not doing this anymore. I want a more serious role. And it's like, well, god dang, what is he going to do? You know, what is
what does WWE look like now with him in this role?
It's time to do it because he's over like crazy.
Yeah, you guys said it earlier. You got to strike while the iron is hot, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the words of Death Road. Yeah, in the words of Death Road, you got once you get on one cloud, you jump off and go to the next one, daddy.
Yep.
So it's like, all right, cool. You caught lightning in a bottle. Once at the highest peak, jump off, go to the next one. So yeah, but like I said, only time will tell. Good brothers, we've I think I'm excited to see what happens next. This is going to be a lot of fun. Our truth is back. We did it. Our voices were heard, man. We could sit here and talk for hours, but we spent the first show for 2 hours talking about why they should bring him back, and they brought him back. So our truth cut a promo. He made it be clear that your voices are heard, you matter, and we agree with those sentiments. Your voices do matter. You know, continue to use your voice. Don't feel like you can't bring change to whatever situation that needs to be changed. We live in a world where there's always constant strife and, you know, differences and things going on, right? But you know what's the power of united voices can go a long way. And of course, the wrestling community has done a perfect example of setting the tone of what can happen when you are united as one voice. You know what I mean? And like I said, we brought back one of our favorites in Ron the Truth Killing. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. And there's a lot going on, man. We're walking up on King of the Ring. We're back in Saudi Arabia. There's a lot going on. WrestleMania is back in Vegas. Good gosh, that means we got to deal with another year with the WrestleMania 9 footage. I can't deal with it, but we'll get into all those things at another date. We're running slightly over. Oh gosh, Brian Ace is going to keep wearing his WrestleMania 9 t-shirt. They'll probably get another one. Who knows?
I hope he gets bleach on it or something.
Oh,
so we don't
gosh.
just sit through that again. I
Those
can't
are
watch
nice
WrestleMania
gifts.
9 again.
I
I can't
hope
watch it again.
I hope
I can't. I
Here's a-
tried. It's,
no,
it's
I'm
so
not doing
good.
Yeah,
it.
we
No.
know. So let's close out.
I watched it 10 times. No, I got to put this out there. I watched it 10 times, and the best part about the show was Macho Man and Gorilla Monsoon and Jim Ross's Bobby Heenan and Jim Ross's
You
commentary.
said 10 times?
Yeah, because it was on all the time. They kept showing it, and I said, "Am I missing something?" And it was the same feeling every single time. But the documentary was really, really good. I like the
It
part where
was
Macho
tough.
Man was like, Macho Man seen Linda McMahon. He's like, what you got in that cup in there, huh? She's like, oh, stop it. It's just Pepsi. He's like, and on the rocks, yeah. I was like, oh,
I'm going to watch the documentary.
that made that
It was
documentary much
entertaining?
worth it. I'm telling you, just that one part said, yep,
Right.
this was worth it. He said, oh, I see you got
Okay.
that cup there, Linda. He's like, oh, stop it, Randy. Look, it's Pepsi. He said, and on the rocks, yeah. On that note, I kept saying that all day. I kept going, and anyway, follow us on all our social media platforms at Wrestling Realm. Subscribe to our Patreon, our Twitch, and YouTube at The Wrestling Realm. Follow Championship Culture on Instagram at Championship Culture _. And don't forget, every Tuesday, 8 p.m., you can watch Championship Culture on YouTube.com/Wrestling Realm. Playlist Championship Culture. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a lot to get into. We had a lot. I'm exhausted. There was a lot, but it's okay. We will be back. We will be back next week. Thank you for sticking with us. What's up, Brian H? Like I said, I never know how to end these shows properly, but wrestling fans, my biggest advice is stay wrestling fans. Until next time, take care of yourself. We will catch you on the flippity flip. We out of here. Peace. What's up?
You feel me? Say what's up. So you got to say that.
I'm gonna keep it popping this up and this up, please.
Houston, we have a problem.
For all exclusive shows and bonus material, subscribe to our Patreon channel at patreon.com/thewrestling_realm. You can watch all of our Wrestling Realm content anytime on youtube.com/thewrestling realm.